Welcome to our December, first meeting in December. We have Deacon Henderson of St. John's Evangelist Catholic Church come up and do us open prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the knowledge you impart to our Harrison County supervisors. We praise you for their wisdom and their desire to help the people. Protect them, Lord, and keep them safe. In their deliberations today, may they do the most good for the betterment of our community and all of its citizens. This we pray in your holy name. Amen.
That's Supervisor Rocco Stevens.
Hand over heart. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First of all, I want to recognize Ms. Mary Bankston.
She isn't here today. That was just to adjudicate.
Oh, we just want to adjudicate, okay. We get a motion to adjudicate this resolution.
Motion. Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
This resolution, though, is to recognize Ms. Mary Bankston, who has helped with elections for over 54 years in Harrison County, and we really appreciate all of her hard work, and we have a resolution recognizing her for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to recognize Mr. Ken Cooper to address concerns related to the Oversight LLC's plan to run two 42-inch drainage pipes from their subdivision development to Mississippi Sound.
Good morning, Mr. President,
Morning.
board members. Thank you for, my name is Ken Gruber. I reside at 6 Mockingbird Lane in Gulfport, Mississippi. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to discuss the developer's attempt to build a subdivision at the site of the great former Great Southern Golf Course that's located down there on Highway 90. Many of you are very familiar with that. So the developer has apparently requested authority from Harrison County to install two new 42-inch drainage pipes across the sand, to run these pipes across the sand beach to funnel contaminated stormwater from the property directly into the Mississippi Sound. The drainage plan will increase the amount of stormwater emptied into the Sound from the former golf course by an estimated 72% and does nothing to mitigate the pollution originated from this property. Attached to soil particles from stormwater are pollutants such as petroleum products, metals, chemicals, pesticides, we're all familiar with that, bacteria. The construction plans for Arbor's excessively dense 177 house subdivision constructed on 57 acres of the golf course south of the railroad tracks contains no retention ponds. The Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality endorses the use of retention ponds as a best management practice for pollution mitigation, and the Harrison County Engineering Department is specifically tasked to see the laws that prevent damage to environments are enforced when there is excess water runoff from impermeable concrete and asphalt. I'd like to ask just a moment, those in the audience, if you could stand if you're here to object Arbor's drainage plan, please stand. And I know we're limited by the population. Many more would like to be here, but they couldn't. Please sit down, please. Thank you for coming. Could not attend, but I'd like to submit to the record signatures from 622 Harrison County residents, if I can give those to the clerk, who specifically is petitioning the Harrison County Board to reject this plan, this current plan.
Have we been asked to do this? Tim, has this been a request of the Harrison County Board?
Not to the board, to the.
We've never been asked to do this.
So currently,
the
right-
Beach Department has been asked.
Is Chuck here?
They haven't agreed to it, but they've been asked.
Well, they couldn't.
I know that it's come up at the board once.
But I want to ask Chuck. Give me just a minute. I want to ask Chuck. He's outside. So. Is he out there?
I can see him.
Oh, he's not?
I have received if I may, Mr. President.
Sure.
I have received letters from you, and I'm in agreement with you that there's no whatsoever, no attempt for them to retain any of the water that they are talking about before it gets to the Gulf of Mexico. And we have an issue with pollution in the Gulf anyway. We drain the entire state of Mississippi, basically. So I basically, as one board member, can agree with the multitudes of people because there's been no plan whatsoever for retention. And you're filling in sand. I'm not much of a golfer, y'all help me. So the sand pit.
Sand traps? Yes,
Sand
ma'am.
traps. I was gonna call it a sand pit. See, I told you I'm not a golfer. And there's also small ponds on it. Absolutely no retention whatsoever.
But let me ask a question, I'm confused. So, who all would they have to get permits from to do this? It's not
City.
just us, the city.
City, MDOT,
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
just so the board knows, I represent
Yeah.
Sean Tyndall, who lives on Mockingbird Lane, in an appeal on this issue, or not this issue, but on this subdivision. And two others that I'm helping with their appeal. They'd have to get a ADQ, I believe, and also the MDOT. The problem is that they're getting approvals by the city of Gulfport to do this now
Well, that's my next question.
without
Without these permits.
without that permission being granted. I think that, it's been said that the MDOT has approved going underneath the highway of the drainage plan, but not across the sand beach. That has to go through the county. I
Oh,
think
we
that's-
haven't gotten anything on it.
Only thing I know is that, he said he got a request through the sand beach department, has not been.
But he's never given it.
If I may, there was an application submitted to MDEQ, and I believe that part of the county's process is to coordinate that, or to be coordinated from MDEQ with other members of the community that have an interest. So that is an active application that's been
No,
submitted.
not really, that's up to MDEQ.
Okay.
But my point is, the only thing we're involved in is if they want to, they have to cross that sand beach to put a drain. And that's just what we need, another drain.
They're talking about running two new
I mean, we don't have
42-inch pipes. Actually, it's three.
It's two 42-inch drainage pipes. Currently, right now, the golf course has two 30-inch drainage pipes.
That's what I mean.
And as I was going to
They
demonstrate,
can't
that-
just use them, they want more.
yes,
Is that what they're
ma'am.
doing?
So currently, right now, the golf course absorbs pretty much most of the stormwater that's managed there. For
The
example,
way it's designed.
the ponds, the
But where do
low-lying
their
areas.
pipes
Excuse me.
Where do the existing pipes go?
Right now, let me, if I may approach.
I'm sorry, I'm educating myself.
No, that's good. So the pipes, if you want to jump right to the last page, the pipes,
Engineers.
there's two 30-inch pipes that currently go from across the Sand Beach into the Gulf.
So the two pipes go in the
The
Gulf.
proposal, the construction plans show to the east.
So you don't think that the two pipes that go into the Gulf can handle these houses?
You might need a patrol.
Yeah. Where's Jackie?
There you go.
Jackie's outside because that's what.
And Jackie. I just wanted to get this in my head straight. So there's currently two pipes that go
If you go to sheet,
across the beach into the water.
There's two 30-inch pipes, but
That's
there are
what I wanted.
ponds on the site.
if you go to
currently
sheet 9,
To retain the water runoff.
All right, so there's two. So Jackie, there's two 30-inch pipes that go from the existing golf course out to the beach. And
She may
this Arbor Apartments in Gulfport, that won't handle them, they want to add more.
Wait, Jackie doesn't know anything. Jackie, have you seen this plan at all? It's about the sand beach,
Early on, I saw a draft version of
a
it.
draft version, so you are someone, okay, what they want to do is put a is drain pipes across Highway 90 and dump into the Gulf of Mexico. And
Which
then
there's already two there. But my question was, how many does he want to add and why is there a need for that?
So my understanding is that when you develop something, you have the option of either detaining water, or if you're immediately next to something like the ocean, you can just oversize a flow out. And so that way, any water that is increased from adding driveways and rooftops and everything, rather than flooding a neighbor, it'll just make it straight to the ocean.
So how, just your best guess, how many apartments is this back?
It's 170, I'm sorry, the question was?
How many apartments would this be?
There's 177 houses, single-family houses.
Okay, your best estimate of how much more
This
that
is
would
the
put in the
subdivision.
Gulf?
2.5.
I
Sounds like a
couldn't
lot.
even- I couldn't even throw that off the top of my head. I mean, I will say the concern, you can either do that, you can either size it based on the amount of water that's gonna come off, and what I understand is that there was some consideration to take water from other neighborhoods too that are standing now, so it would relieve those a little bit. The concern is if you have any kind of sewer or litter, you don't have a pond to catch it in, and it also is flushing out more fresh water into the Gulf, which, we all have an issue with. So, some kind of stopping, slowing it down basin, I think would be useful, but
So let me ask, and maybe Tim, this is it. If by chance they get their permits to do this, does the county have the ability to tell them that they've got to put
The
some
county
kind
has
of
authority over the sand beach, and that would include any drainage and that sand beach.
We get a clarification, if you can, what you're objecting to. Are you objecting to the going into the, under the beach into the water, or are you objecting that they do not have a retention pond?
We're objecting that the construction of the increased amount of water flow coming off this into the beach, so you're adding two more to an already unsightly beach that has 3 of them. There's actually 2 coming from the property, but there's 1 to service Highway 90 and Beach Drive. So right now, we have 3 unsightly outfalls that go across our sand beach, and to add 2 more, that is 72% much more capacity than what's already there. So now we're gonna have 5 of those in front of us, and that's what we're opposing. But there is a direct impact of what is happening to the city of Gulfport and what they're doing. They're allowing these contaminants not to be, just to flow directly from the property into the waters, which impacts the bathers, it impacts the least term nesting area, it impacts, the environment, the habitat and all that stuff. So that's what we're opposing. That's what the 662 residents are opposing, is we do not want Harrison County to allow the developer to run 2 additional 42-inch pipes across the sand beach. And I must say, if I must say, we do not oppose development. We like developers, but we want responsible developers. And what they're proposing is the maximum leveling the golf course to put as many houses as he can on there and make his profit, and he's gonna go back to Florida and leave us with a sand beach that doesn't look attractive. Our former governor his initiative was to reduce the amount of outfalls on the beach. So at what point do we say enough is enough? Developers, please, reduce the flow of water coming in, the fresh water that was mentioned by the engineers, reduce the pollution coming into, and he's got plenty of room to do that. He's got 57 acres, so he may have to give up something, but please, don't encroach on our beautiful Mississippi beach and our surround. I mean, we rely on that. Not only do the residents rely on that, the fishers rely on it, the tourism relies on that, and it makes a difference. I hope I answered your question. It was a good question. And
What alternative is there? Of course, we need, I guess, to talk to the engineer, if there's an alternative to going under the highway and to the beach. Is there an alternative to handle the runoff?
Retention ponds, right?
Retention ponds, detention ponds, don't mess with the natural
Well, the
landscapes.
retention pond ultimately will overflow into the pipe into the beach.
Not if they appropriately
It's a
decide.
delay activity, the retention pond, as I understand it, would simply be a delay, activity as far as the water coming in a problem. Am I wrong?
It would slow it down to nothing that exceeds what it's leaving now, and even just raining on the golf course, it does go through the sand and migrate out. So slowing it down on site before it releases mimics nature as best as
That's what
possible.
I understand.
Would you still need those pipes if you have the retention and detention
There's one or two
ponds?
there now already, so the whole point
So
is
the
that
ones
you would
already
discharge
there
into
would
it.
be enough
So,
if you did the retention
That's
detention?
good.
I think there's a question as to whether they're enough now, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even
enough
with
to
the
say.
retention ponds, would the pipe existing now be sufficient to handle the water?
I believe there's a question about that now already.
That was what I
So,
asked.
but the thing is, if you slow it down to no more than it is there now, then you wouldn't be making it worse, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
And the retention ponds also serve as sort of a retention of the pollutants that would
Exactly.
ultimately
It gives
run
you
into
that
the-
opportunity.
And evaporation, I mean, there's a lot of things.
Sir, if I may add to that,
Yeah.
another option is to reduce the density. As I mentioned before, the golf course been there for 150 years. We don't have issues with this right now. So, of course, if you add almost 2 miles of road networks and driveways and sidewalks and patios and rooftops, you're gonna get more stormwater, you're gonna get more pollution. So one simple thing is reduce the density. If you look at the density of our surrounding 3 neighborhoods, Venetian Gardens to the west, Mockingbird to the east, and I'm sorry, Southern Circle, sorry, Mockingbird and Venetian. My military experiences, I'm losing it a little bit. So these 3 subdivisions is about the same size of the property that's being developed here. But there's only 98 homes here. There's 100, we're almost 1.7 times larger. So reducing the population or the density of the homes would have a significant impact on the outflow of water and the outflow of pollutants. And give him plenty of room, give the developer plenty of room to build retention ponds, detention ponds, keep the pond that's already there, make that look beautiful. I'd love to be in front of a nice little pond. So there's a lot of solutions to this problem. Yes,
Well,
sir.
let me ask you, has the city of Gulfport ultimately made a decision to approve this project, or is it
So
still
on
in the
23 June,
pipeline?
Yes, sir.
No pun intended, is it still in the pipeline to consider it? So these options that you are offering, is that still available to the city of Gulfport to
Mr.
require
Stiefel
those from the
can answer
developer?
that.
Or has the process been completed and approved? and
So the general plan has been approved on 23 June, that it was presented. Prior to this, there was a lot of opposition by neighbors to the developer. We objected this in front of the planning commission, and they approved the general plan. So there is a process on the city of Gulfport. Well, let me back up. Part of that problem was the city engineer did not comment on this plan. That's part of the problem. So it's a whole separate issue if I talk about engaging the city on these issues, because based on the appeal that's in place, the likelihood of talking to other members is kind of very nil. They don't want to. They're being advised not to talk to residents or whatever about our issues. So, but there is a final plat. There is going to be another opportunity to go in front to talk about this again. There is another opportunity. But as Mr. Holloman said, the general plan's been approved. They could start bulldozing and constructing right now. There's nothing that prevents that. They could start going underneath the beach and going across our beach and start building this. So,
They can't until we say it's okay.
Yes,
May I
ma'am.
ask Mr. Stiefel if that's the case?
He's the engineer. For the
Mr.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
just want to ask you.
If you want to come up,
Wouldn't mind just to confirm what you're saying.
you just state your name for us.
One question before he starts, if I may ask. Was the city of Gulfport's approval based on the acceptance of Harrison County approving the additional pipe and size of pipes under the beach to the Mississippi Sound? Was that approval from the city of Gulfport based on the approval of us allowing the developer to put those pipe under the beach?
I think the short answer is no, and I'd only reference Mr. Stifel's statements, his testimony, is that this general plan will go through a review process and DEQ application, all that. You mentioned that engineers will be looking at this, and there's plenty of opportunities to correct the plan, or enhancements, I think is the words that were used, that that process could make enhancements to this plan. So during that, it could be, yes, we don't like this option. The appropriate authorities could say, we don't like this option, we want you to make some
So
changes.
if the Harrison County Board of Supervisors does not approve the pipe under the beach to handle the runoff, then the developer's gonna have to go back and look at some other alternative.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, yes, Mr.
That's correct.
And so, our motive is that we're concerned, based on the city's, in our view, and the residents' view, is that our voices weren't heard very well. We presented 4 hours of several hours of testimony, hundreds of people being involved, and it basically was a stamp to go forward on the general.
Or can we deny something that we have not been asked yet?
More to go on the record, if it chooses to say that it's not gonna allow drainage across the sand beach, it discharges directly.
But if they come up with a better alternative?
Yes, then you would be free to.
So we don't wanna just say no unless they come up with something good.
That's
Well,
what
I
I'm
mean,
pers-
and I'll
that's
say
what
this
I'm
again.
pursuing to see
Yeah.
what the alternative are
For the horse or
The
something.
to
board,
accommodate their concerns.
just so the board knows, I represent Sean Tyndall and two other neighbors that he asked me to help, and I've been helping them do. There's an appeal pending.
I would too.
So that you get a correct view of what's going on, there was a preliminary plat approval by the planning commission, which was voted on by the planning commission. The residents appealed that to the city council, that decision. They voted on it and approved it. When it got to the city council, when everybody showed up, about 80+ people, the city council was advised by their council that they had no jurisdiction to hear the appeal. And therefore, they didn't dismiss it, what they call the term, it was weird.
They removed us from the agenda.
They removed it, yeah, rejected it from the agenda, so we didn't even get a ruling, a dismissal, you got a different ruling, which is strange. That's been appealed to the circuit court. And the basis for that was that there's a provision in their code that says a developer can approve a preliminary, can appeal the denial from a preliminary plat approval. Doesn't say anything about residents, and therefore they interpret that to mean he's the only one that can appeal. I disagree with that, but that's for another day. So that's where it sits, and this was brought up to them about the pipes and discharge, and nobody addressed it either at the planning commission level or at the city council. The city council refused to hear it.
But this
So
is
you
saying,
can,
yeah, go
excuse
ahead.
me, so, I'm sorry, District 5, so if you don't mind. So basically, you're asking us today to go on record as denying the approval for the pipes as the design calls for today.
As a current plan, yes.
That's what my question was. Because this only says you're here to address your concerns. What action?
Well, I will submit my prepared comments to the record, but it does specifically ask what we just referred to there, that the residents are petitioning that you reject the developer's proposed construction plan as written to install additional pipes across the sand beach, and for the board to work with the city of Gulfport to require the developer to incorporate BMP's best management practices like retention ponds and the things that we discussed here, to allow contaminants to settle on this property before it flows out to the sand beach. So,
Well, that was the question that I asked. If the developer agrees to do the retention ponds to your satisfaction, to the citizen's satisfaction, then would you still object to the running the pipe under the sand beach?
we feel that would, if he mitigates our issues associated with the heavy flow of water and the contaminants going into the water, he doesn't disturb the least term nesting areas, which is an endangered species, and it meets all the quality and quantity flows, we have no opposition to that or objections to that, no sir.
And
So
basically,
we wouldn't make, this board would not make a premature decision until we know what developer agrees to and whether you are satisfied with that agreement.
Yes. So right now, the train has left the station.
Okay.
So permits have been approved by, it's bureaucracy. It's all these different
left the
organizations.
station,
MDOT
but-
has given approval to, okay, your driveway's approved. You have a.
It may have
I'm not
left the station, but
But it's
the
still got,
destination ain't been decided.
that's right.
So
You
your
still got a
question-
critical element here to get approved before they can move. And that's pipe under the beach, and that's in our hands. So
So-
we definitely need to hear from the developer.
But your question, I mean, your request right now is for us to reject the developer's plan as it is today.
Yeah.
Would that cover it?
And
The one that was-
basically, Mr. President, if I may, basically, Marlon, I think what the resident is saying, and what the residents are saying, is that the pipes that are already there, the three
Can
pipes that
handle.
are already there, should be able to handle any of the drainage that comes from the golf course. And that with the necessary retention ponds and detention ponds, that would be sufficient. Is that what you're saying? And there
If they
wouldn't
use
be
those.
any additional drainage necessary, so you wouldn't have to go into the highway, and you wouldn't have to put
Yes.
another ugly drainage pipe out there, which we're trying to eliminate.
I want to hear from the, come up and, you want to come on up and say your name.
I'm not
I have some
formatted
questions.
here. This public comment section.
Right.
This is public comment. We were not prepared for this. We were told late Friday that this was gonna happen. And so we're here impromptu. Our attorney's tied up in court right now. So you asked me to come show my face here. There's been a lot of misinformation that you guys are hearing today. And I can take just a minute or two to try to clarify some of this. We drew up the plans. We've been in communication with the Corps of Engineers, the DEQ, all the federal agencies that are involved in this process. There's been a lot of work and a lot of effort. We've had over 20 meetings with these people. Not with all these people, with the city officials, with the county officials. We've had multiple meetings with the public.
Not county officials.
He's talking about
No, we
Chuck
have-
Loftus.
Not supervisors, but other county employees. Jackie, for
Employees.
example. Yeah, the
Correct.
city engineer, county engineer. A lot of effort has been put into this, and I just want to tell you a couple of things that, what happens is, there's a small group of people that have tried this same scare and intimidation tactic to the Corps of Engineers, to the DEQ, and now to you guys, and to the city of Gulfport.
With all due respect, it's not a small group of people.
Well, there's not,
Five
not
is a
every one of
small,
these people.
600 is
Not
a
every one of
large.
these people calling the DEQ. What I'm trying to tell you is there's a few people that are calling the DEQ, calling the Corps, and trying to cause issues here. The problem here is that you got a whole bunch of people here. None of these folks would want me doing heart surgery on them. And I wouldn't want them doing heart surgery on me because they're not qualified, and I'm not either. But you gotta let the professionals do what they know how to do. The DEQ and the Corps of Engineers have this thing under a microscope. The developer has spent tens of thousands of dollars and will continue spending money to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, so the DEQ is happy. DEQ is well qualified to handle this thing and to make sure it's all done properly. And I'm here to tell you that the developer has spared no expense to make sure that in good faith, up front, to make sure that every hurdle is jumped and that everything is satisfied. The big picture is they just don't want the development. Or they want maybe 40 or 50 lots. Well, it's just not feasible. This gentleman, my client, is a developer that owns probably 7, 8, 9 different apartment complexes, communities in Gulfport, in the Harrison County area. Without exception, every one of them is in mint condition. He owns them. He doesn't just buy them and flip them to REITs, investment companies. He's a permanent fixture here. He has been a positive force for smart development in this area. Every one of his developments are something you'd be proud to walk through and live in. And I'd just like to say that there's so many little things that I've heard that are incorrect or inaccurate. And I'm not trying to say anybody's lying here, but there's some inaccuracies. For example, we're not proposing to add 2 more culverts underneath the beach. Right now, as the culverts exist, MDOT will tell you this, the city engineers will tell you this. These people, some of these people might know this, some of them may not. There are people that hydroplane up and down Highway 90 in this area. And the reason why they hydroplane is because the water can't get out of these outfalls. As the property exists today, nothing has happened. We haven't started development. Well, the reason why these highways not draining properly is because these outfalls are not functional, they're dysfunctional. They function to some extent, but if you just go out there today and look at it, you look at the 2 30-inch pipes that made reference to, we're not adding 2 more 42-inch pipes. We're not, there's 2 30-inch pipes there now. We're gonna remove them and replace them. So you're not gonna notice a difference. As far as aesthetics to the beach, you're not gonna see any difference. You can't tell from a few hundred feet away whether there's 2 30-inch culverts or whether there's 2 42-inch culverts. Nothing is gonna change. Now, the rate of flow will increase slightly, okay? But right now, these 30-inch culverts, if you just drive down the beach and look at these culverts, they're actually they're buried, they're settled, and they're essentially not functional.
Is it due to the size or to, or
It's
something
just
else?
a combination of things, tide, hurricane, washing. This particular outfall, if you look at all of them up down the beach, this one's lower than most of them, if not all of them. And it's just simply not functioning very well. And there's another culvert, as the gentleman said, west of here and east of here, but they're small. They're like 18-inch culverts. They really don't carry hardly anything. The county has an ongoing project, as you guys I'm sure are aware of. I think Brown Mitchell is handling this to repair and upgrade multiple outfalls all up and down the beach. Well, guess what this is going on? Well, my developer has agreed to do this on his nickel. Now, that's not a real good reason for you guys to necessarily say, okay, we'll see them blank check. But he's showing some good faith and initiative to fix this thing for the county. In addition to basically just swapping out these 30-inch culverts for 42-inch culverts. Again, there will be a slight increase in runoff, but keep in mind, I understand.
A slight?
Well, 50% roughly. It depends on your, I think the gentleman said 72%. I'm not looking at the calculations now.
Yeah, but you're taking totally raw land where the water has been able to go into and all these sand traps and all those, and you're taking all that out and you're putting in asphalt roads and rooftops, 178 of them, I think you
Well,
said.
keep in mind that I think there's 90 some odd houses that the gentleman mentioned around the property, that surround this property. Not one of these properties, not Venetian Gardens, not Southern Circle, not whatever the other one was. None of these have detention areas.
But they also have huge
Those are
yards.
years.
But no, that's not true, not all of them. Maybe half of them, or maybe even less than half of them have yards. But my point, a couple of things that need to be said, and this.
But you're doubling the houses of the entire area.
We're
You're
adding houses.
doubling in one section.
We're adding
In
houses.
a much
Okay.
smaller area.
But keep in mind that there are areas, in particular in Southern Circle, but also over in Venetian Gardens that are flooding. I'm talking about, I've seen pictures, some of these people gave me pictures of the street in their front yard with 2+ feet of water.
Now, what do you think
in the
that's
street.
gonna do, though?
It's gonna go out it's all going out to the Gulf County. It's all going out to the Gulf. It's all going downhill.
I
It
know
may get out
everything
there-
goes into the Gulf,
it
that's
may get
why
out there a little
everything's
bit quicker
dying.
with pipes that work, with outfalls that work. It may get out a little bit quicker, but this is a situation, all the water is going downhill. Just because it's not getting there as fast, you're gonna change anything. Now, keep in mind this, we're in the review process. The plans have been submitted to DEQ. DEQ is reviewing it, not only for stormwater quality control and also quantity control, but also for the soils. There's been some issues with whether or not there's acceptable or unacceptable levels of arsenic and chlorine, these types of things. And there's been approximately a dozen tests done by qualified testing laboratories. There's going to be some additional testing, and the reason for this is that they have found that the levels of these two chemicals in particular are slightly above. We're talking about 1 or 2 parts per million. That's a negligible amount. And that the levels of these two chemicals are essentially close to or about what you would get in natural soil. People don't realize this, but arsenic exists in Mississippi soils throughout the state, naturally. And so it's not something that's unprecedented. What the DEQ is trying to decide is these levels, these traces that have been found, are they Do they need to be remediated? And if so, my developer is willing to do that. If not, if they find that these
What's wrong
levels.
with the retention?
And I think you were hired, Mr.
I
Allen.
represent Sean Tyndall.
You represent this, so
Made
you're
that very
representing people.
clear.
I'm not representing these people, I represent 3 people.
Okay.
I will ask you the question, Dennis. What is the objection to putting in the retention ponds that these folks are requesting? Why would the developer oppose to the retention pond? Several reasons. Of course, it would reduce the flow, as Jackie indicated, going under the road. It would slow it down, as well as holding maybe some of the pollutants that they're concerned about. Why would he not?
That's a
put
great
in those
question.
retention ponds?
That's a great question, and let me just deal with that, and this is not etched in stone. But typically, developments like this, especially ones that are close to the beach, you hit the nail right on the head a few minutes ago when you said that what detention does is it slows water down. It doesn't stop the water. The water is going to go downhill. It's eventually going to get to the Gulf. What you're doing by detaining the water is you're slowing it down. Yes, you get some water cleaning capability of that, but generally speaking, what you put detention in is to slow the water down. So when you slow the water down, what you're doing is you're levelizing that water essentially for a longer period of time. Well, what happens is the trade-off of that is that you have people upstream of these projects that are trying to use these same outfalls. And so if you slow the water down, if you don't let this project's water get out quickly, then the people that are trying to discharge in the same direction upstream of them, their water is going to back up. Their
Well, that
water doesn't get
confuses me a
out.
little bit, because the retention ponds, I thought, would be big enough and deep enough to take that above them and coming into the retention pond. So the purpose of the retention pond is not to stop the flow north of it, but to accept it in there, slow it down, and then let it gradually go out. So I'm
Well,
not sure,
That's why
the
I
whole
said
point of
detention.
the retention pond is not to hold water up north of it, but to accept it and hold it in a particular area. And presumably the benefit of that is to reduce the pollutants and all that sort of thing, and slow the outflow of that water.
Well,
I didn't-
ideally, and you're right, but ideally, everybody should detain their water on their property so that they're not overwhelming the property downstream of them.
Correct, that's a great idea, so let's
That's
do
right.
that.
Well, the property downstream of us is the beach and the Gulf, okay? But the property like Venetian Gardens and Southern Circle, these properties, and there's gonna be other properties north of railroad tracks, but these properties are, when it rains, that water's coming onto this guy's property, and there's no detention. Now, we don't have a problem, and what I was gonna tell you was that I got off track, Marlon, that detention, there's just two different options usually. One is you put detention in and you slow the water down, which is pretty much the only option you have if you don't have a direct discharge into a river or a gulf, a major body of water. If you do have an option to go directly, either to upgrade the discharge directly into the Gulf or a river, then you have to decide, well, which one you want to do. You want to do detention and slow the water down, or do you want to upgrade the outfall? Well, the developer just made the decision that we would probably lose about 5 or 6 lots. And then you'd have a big detention area in the project that would need to be maintained.
Okay, but
5 or
is it
6 lots
worth
would be
losing?
approximately
To me, it'd be worth losing.
probably
those
3/4
5
of a million
lots.
to $1 million.
Make the
Okay, so the outfall
Just
upgrade
outfall.
is approximately about $500,000. And so it was a financial decision. Do you want to spend $1 million building and displacing these detention ponds? Because it's not just the lots that you displace, it's the cost of building the detention pond. So basically, he was looking at, do you want to spend $1 million for a detention pond and lose 6 lots? But it would cost you at least that. Or do you want to upgrade the outfall? And be honest with you, the common sense thing is, I know we got issues here, people got their own personal opinions, but from an engineering standpoint, and the Corps of Engineers, the EQ, the city engineer, and contrary to what you told before, the city engineer has reviewed and commented on these construction plans. You were told otherwise, okay? And I'm here to try to clarify some things
No,
here.
it's not record.
Not on the record.
And so,
No, not record.
what the developer's looking at is saying, do you want to help the county and the city? You know, there's some flooding problems in these subdivisions that are adjacent to us. Do you want to fix these drainage problems for the city? Do you want to upgrade a county's existing problem now? You know, again, we're talking about changing 230s to 242s. It won't look any different. Do you want to help the county upgrade this thing, help the highway department with their you know, issues with with drainage not working well on the highway? So he was basically trying to help the county, the city, and the highway department on his nickel. But the swap out there, the trade-off is if he does that, then he needs to be able to pay for that somehow. So you're talking about over $1 million worth of effort here. And the trade-off was he can get those 6 lots there. And in the original conceptual plans, we showed a detention pond there. I don't know if y'all remember that or if you didn't see it.
We didn't see it.
And the reason why we haven't come to you sooner than this, I've kind of backed into this meeting this morning. But the reason why we haven't come to you sooner is because we're still trying to dot some i's and cross some t's with the DEQ. We do not have a problem, taking the comments here, we do not have a problem implementing, there's all types of screening and sound filter systems and vortex units and things like that most of these folks don't know anything about, but that you can put in your drainage system to clean the drainage, make sure that no trash gets out into the Gulf. That's not a problem. That can be done fairly inexpensively, $50,000, $100,000. I mean, that's not the type of thing that can be done.
If I may, what's the overall cost of this subdivision?
The overall cost. I think that the construction of the actual streets and drainage came in at about $5 million, I think. And if you add the houses to that, you know, it'd be probably over $100 million.
So $100 million project, and you just said those 5 lots would be $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm no mathematician, but I'm kind of thinking if I had a $500 million project, and I think the world of it, but man, I'd spend $1 million to do it.
Well,
How about you do both?
Yeah.
How about
That's
you
what
do
I'm
that
saying.
retention pond and you do those 42-inch bigger, nicer pipes? How
Well,
about you do both?
And that's something that we're not here to essentially skin this cat this morning. I'm here just trying to defend and try to set the record.
Right.
We will be coming, we've already met with Jackie a few times. We will be we're trying to get a few things done, and we're working multiple fronts here with the DEQ and the Corps of Engineers. And we're expecting to get the DEQ approval shortly. The plan was to get their approvals so we can come to you and say, okay, we got our plans approved. Are there any other things that you guys would like for us to do?
If we take action today, I'm just guessing, that we don't like this, DEQ still gonna approve your plan?
They
Since
will
you're
approve
using
it, yeah.
DEQ's approvals to come to us, can you not reverse it?
No, they will approve the plans, and they really don't care whether you guys approve it or not. They don't really care whether it gets built necessarily. That's just the way it works.
But you won't physically be allowed to do it, so it
No,
doesn't matter
well,
what they say.
If you guys don't approve the alcohol, then we're not gonna be able to build a project. Yeah, 'cause
Mr.
it's just-
President.
That's part of it.
Sorry, I want to say one quick
No,
thing,
go ahead.
Supervisor, I'm sorry. Supervisor Martin had an excellent point. If you have 100 million or hundreds of millions of dollars, what would 2 million be? What is that? The retention and the 42-inch pipes?
So we're hired to make water go downhill, not
There you go.
necessarily to make sure the project's feasible per se.
I don't think we're
If I may.
gonna litigate this today.
Yeah.
We're speaking, then we're gonna move on.
I'd like to make a motion that we deny these plans as presented and that we will consider other plans in the future that take into consideration all the concerns of the 600 people that are here today, or not here today, but they're here. So that's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion, oh, I'm sorry.
They got a motion and a second.
Second.
Is there we got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion of this issue?
Just so the record's clear, these plans need to run 2 new 42-inch outfall pipes across the sand beach.
That's
What
right.
is
You don't have, the
And
plan
that-
itself is not limited to extension, only the.
That is
Right,
So I'm making sure.
denied,
the 40-inch pipe.
denying the pipes across the sand beach and these plans as
Presented
presented to us today.
Well, I don't know.
Well, now,
Exactly.
That's why I clarified.
the plans, doesn't
Deny the plans,
The
I'm
letter.
saying deny the pipe.
Deny the pipe.
but the piping is not gonna be new additional pipes. Correct?
Sir, I only know it was approved by the Gulfport Planning Commission, and it definitely shows 2 new 42-inch pipes on this. Now, that's what it was back then, that's what's approved by the city. And it shows the two 42-inch pipes, new ones. And it shows the existing 32-inch pipes there already. So I can only go what was presented on the record, but that's what's also been presented to NDEQ under their large construction permit.
I think what the board is trying to indicate to whoever's involved, the developer and anyone else, is that we're not inclined to approve additional 42-inch pipes under our beach, or to go under the beach.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Yes, sir.
And
We're
we're
not having
also,
anything with the plan.
Yeah, the plan was there to provide you context. What they do there has a direct impact on what happens on our beach.
yes, Marlon, if
So,
we don't,
it is-
But we don't have authority to tell that we don't.
I understand that, sir. And that's where we'll have to address this, our audience, our grassroots organizations, to the appropriate authorities. You're one of many that we have to get our voice heard by folks. And as I understand, it seems like we do understand, you do understand what our voice is, and I think you generally have what we're thinking.
but these plans, my motion does include the 42-inch pipes, not just additional, but any, but somehow we need to include that the flow, the runoff, the drainage should not be allowed in the Gulf of Mexico.
I think maybe the best way to address it would make a motion that the board is going to require specific approval of this board to run any new additional drainage
That's the
pipes.
point.
under the
That's
beach.
what I'm.
That's what you need to
trying
go on
say.
record as saying, and they can come back with whatever plan they've got that satisfies the board. And the board would look at those specifically without requesting this.
Without.
Then that is my motion then. That's okay.
Recognizing that.
Right, we got that.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.
I'm sorry, I
No additional
apologize.
pipes, okay.
We need to be very specific.
Nor taking out our other pipes, not only additional, but nor taking out others.
The reason I mentioned the plan is because without retention ponds, they have to add retention ponds in order to hold for any additional water, so that's why I included the plan.
Well, the reason I
We
said,
have
the way
no
I said
authority
it, so
to
the
have
board
no-
will understand, is they made a comment, there was a comment made about if it's next to a body of water, you can discharge into that body of water such as the sound, that the board has jurisdiction over that beach and what drains across that same beach. So you're addressing the whole 26-mile sand beach by that statement, that policy. So if they have specific plans, then they can come back before the board and address it then.
But our legal authority is the beach.
Correct.
Plans, whether they put retention ponds in, we would suggest that they do that.
Yes, sir.
But we don't have authority to tell you to do that. That's the city of Gulfport authority.
Correct.
Our authority deals with the sands beach. And that's what we're informing them of. We will not approve those pipes.
Yes, sir.
on the beach.
And I'd like that also sent to the part of the record, and also sent to the city of Gulfport and the developer
All right, DEQ.
and DEQ and the Corps of Engineers
Send it to
DOT.
and DOT.
Mr. President, if I may, I take offense to the comment from the Mr. Stiefel on misinformation from the community. If I could submit for the record, direct quotes from public records that was presented to the city of Gulfport. It's direct quotations. Nobody's trying to misinform this board.
I'd like to call the question, because now we're getting into
Yeah.
a hearing that we don't.
Call for the question.
So,
Thank you,
So
sir.
we'll vote on that?
Is there, yeah, we got a motion second.
Do you still have, are we still in public comment?
No, we
No, we're
just
gonna
called
close
the
this one out.
question.
Yeah, we call it the questions. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And then I ask the board that we accept the information from this gentleman to spread those comments on the record
Yes, ma'am.
that he just handed to the.
Okay. Down my here.
Okay, thank you. Next up, item three.
I need a second.
You got a
Second.
motion? Okay. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
As y'all exit, do not gather and talk in the lobby here, so the board can see if you know business, if you're gonna talk, go outside.
Put it in the record. That is right there. You're okay.
Coach Quavers. Coach Quavers, good to see you. How you doing, Ms. Quavers?
Like you said, it's costly. Like it's a big cost. But we're not proceeding, we'll make a left, we'll get left.
Thank you, sir.
Angel.
No.
Okay, so we got to 10:30. You ready to
Yeah.
come in and send a few
No,
minutes?
we can go after your bill. Let's go after the bill. Yeah. Yeah. We don't care. We got all that. We're fine. Yeah, we're fine.
I told her it'll be.
It's on. Don't we have a here? You're not gonna pay the property in
You might be able to get
a couple of items on the agenda, but you get into the fair side.
Good.
Take a little long.
How about you?
Roger Ratchet's doing okay.
Yeah, that's how's you, brother?
We dropped him off this morning at 9. That's very fine. And my daughter's
Is all we got.
Okay, we want to get started. Belvin, what's on Belvin?
Is that the what Yes.
Yeah, we'll just go through the consent
That's
agenda.
good.
Okay, we're gonna carry on until we get to the consent, until we get to our 10:30 hearing. Next up, we have, we're gonna, I spoke with Angel, and we're gonna bring her up after the appeal. So next, we have the consent agenda. Items numbered 4 through 11 is placed on the consent agenda, same appearance for routine, non-controversial matters, which our supervisor would like to agree. And part of that is item number 9, 8, under number 9, who has the 105 boxes of GSC 1107 balance. November 3rd, that should be 2020, not 2022 election. Just want to make that correction on the consent agenda. Okay. All right, all in favor of the consent agenda? Can I get a motion, sorry, for the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Order spread upon the minutes, personnel changes for the tax collector's office is listed, and on file with the Bureau Administrator and the Human Resource Department.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Did you get a second?
Yep. You second, Beverly second. Order approving partial payment of purchase order 283283, which represents a 50% down payment in the amount of $7,421.85 payable to Floor Company LLC for the purchase of materials to install flooring in the tax collector's office at the Second Judicial District Courthouse within budget.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Order approving final pay application of $280,000 to Lamy Electric, Inc. for the baseball fields light replacement at the Three Rivers Elementary Ball Field Gulfport payable from 001-121-906 and acknowledging receipt of the following closeout documents between Harrison County Board of Supervisors and Lamy Electric.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed. Motion carries. 15, order approving the final plat for Audubon Lake subdivision, Phase 3, 47 lots located in section 24 and 25, Township 6 South, Range 12, West and Supervisor Board in District 2, First District as recommended by Jacqueline Turner. Motion.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed. Motion carries. We'll hold up there. We have a 10:30 hearing, so we'll move on. We'll come back to 16.
You know, we get,
You wanna do 16?
15, that'll get you to,
All right, we
Yeah,
do
we're not-
16. All right, 16, order approving change order 01 for the Harrison County Bluffs Riverboat Launch Park, Harrison County, Mississippi, to J.E. Talley Construction, Inc., with net increase in the amount of $320 to revise bank treatment method as proposed. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed. Motion carried. Okay, we have our zoning appeal and
All right, so we have item 24, an appeal filed by Chris Peck and Yolanda McGee. The planning commission's decision to approve case file 2207 HC 126 for a conditional use permit requested by Jacob Huckabee to allow for a 158 lot single-family residential subdivision on 91.6 acres of land as identified on the site plan. Residential subdivisions require conditional use from the planning commission. Property is currently zoned as an R1. The subject property is located at Morris Pond Road in the Walker Farm subdivision, this Walker Farm North. Avalar and tax parcel numbers are 0606D-01-024.001 and 0606D-01-024.000 and 0606-14-002.001. So first up, we'll have the presentation of the person making the appeal. They will have no more than 3 speakers. Each speaker will have 10 minutes. And then we will have the person who opposes the appeal, no more than 3 speakers with 10 minutes each. And then they will hear a rebuttal from the appellant with 5 minutes. And then period for the board for questioning and the decision.
okay. So we get the first person up who's making the appeal.
We're represented, Christopher Peck, representing Walker Farm. Mr. Simpson is representing our case. It's I think he's running a bit late, so I guess I'll get started as far as that goes, so we don't just move on.
So you get 10 minutes, right?
Sure, that'd be fine.
How's that work, Ken?
Yeah, he'll get 10 and which hopefully Steve will be here by.
I hope so.
10 minutes.
Is Renee here
State the
to do our
address.
timekeeper?
Address.
15951 Walker Farm Lane, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay,
Renee, will you be our timekeeper?
Whenever. Okay. I'll try and be brief because I wasn't expecting to speak, but also I think we laid out our points fairly effectively the first few hearings. So the issue with this was everything in Walker Farm is, between,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, between 90 and 110 square feet as far as lot sizes goes. And they were trying to reduce them by about 40 to 50% as far as that goes. The issue was off of Shaw Road, the issues with traffic safety, the fact that there's often accidents, there's been a couple fatalities. So there's only about 120 homes currently there. It's part of 2 developmental phases, different applicants, same representation. I don't know how familiar y'all recollect this, but essentially they're trying to put close to 200 houses in one little area and have one road essentially going in and out off of Highway 53, and then another one off of Shaw Road. So the issue is not only the safety of putting 2 or 3 times the amount of houses in that area, but also the amount that doesn't conform to the neighborhood. Lot sizes, housing sizes, all of that are going to be about 40–50% diminished from what they're currently at. So it doesn't conform to the area of the neighborhood. In our last time we had this hearing, we put a few things in a comprehensive plan that it doesn't necessarily follow. For example, the fact that this one is considered, I guess, a preservation area because more than 30% of it is wetlands that they can't build on, so they're preserving it. I believe the law states that it has to have a minimum, it can't have any more than 50% of those houses with lot sizes under 70 feet. And I think in our last presentation, we did the math, it was between 60 and 70% of them. So it doesn't conform to law as far as that goes. Our main appeal has been, over the past year and a half, the safety issues off of the road, and then the fact that it doesn't conform to the current area as it sits. Everything else is essentially just adding on top of the fact that the legalities of it doesn't follow the comprehensive plan. And that's essentially it, where we're at. Like I said, Mr. Simpson will probably be able to put it more eloquently than I could. But I remember we've had an issue. The last one was postponed, if we remember, because the initial developer who had built there 10 years ago didn't finish the road as it sat. It's my understanding we were working with the city to find a solution to that before we moved forward with another project. If the one from 10 years ago wasn't even finished by the developer, we have to finish that phase as well. It's my opinion that this should be postponed as well, partially because they're still planning on using that initial road, that one off of 53, as an entrance and exit point to this new subdivision as well. So the other one that's still an appeal notwithstanding, if they're planning on using that road still has to be finished as it was agreed upon 10 years ago with the original development before we even think about putting something else and moving forward. That's our position. Go ahead.
Is that TCB?
I'm sorry?
Is that the developer that owned it before? Was that?
No, that was, I can't remember. It's some kind of LLC out of Louisiana. I've been trying to track it down. It's been dissolved a handful of times. It's essentially the same developer for that other one closer to 53, but I believe it's a different developer in the northeast portion of
You
it.
say all that, the developer, wasn't there a change of ownership?
Yes, I don't
There
remember.
was a change of ownership, if I'm not mistaken.
But if the road was never finished, you said city, and it's actually county, so what does anyone know how that was left?
It just wasn't finished.
Yeah, it was supposed to be done by.
That was the issue that we brought up before, that you're gonna go ahead and approve this development without having that road.
And I remember the idea got brought up last time as far as, as far as taxpayers and everything else. It was the initial developer, I wouldn't say burden, responsibility to finish the roads and make sure that everything was done safely and competently the first time. And now we have, and he's out of state, so the idea came up that oftentimes we'll see out of state people come in, build stuff, leave it, never to be seen again. We saw that exact same example laid out in front of us, and now we have an applicant that's based out of Texas.
Even though.
And we're expecting the same thing.
It's, I don't mean to take off to clarify something. Even though this is a different applicant, I think, Malcolm, you might have some information in reference to that road. This particular case is different applicant, but you are aware of, because you represented, I think, the previous applicant with the other subdivision, so Mr. Jones might have some information for us on that when time comes.
Yeah, it's my understanding, of course, he'll expound on that there was an agreement with the county to go ahead and finish that up. It's our position that it be done first before we allow any further breaking of ground or further development in the future. And that's notwithstanding the issues of lot sizes, not conforming to the comprehensive plan, not conforming to the law itself. So we have to do one thing at a time, and obviously the safety and stability of the original development is our primary goal. But then beyond that, just the fact that they're gonna be blocking up this entire area and flooding these two roads with traffic that are already issues with traffic and safety is also a concern moving forward. And that's all I have. I wish I could put it more eloquently as a lawyer could,
You did
but.
great.
I would imagine we had to give them that time.
Huh?
I would imagine we still had to give, wait
Can we
around.
hear from the other side?
There might be some, well, there might be some others that support the appeal.
I don't know what
I don't think
y'all's
they have anything
table
else
is.
outside of Steve.
There was another lady that appealed, is she here?
No, she's actually currently in California, so she couldn't make it this morning.
Are you two the only appellants?
Yes, officially. We represent the whole neighborhood. On the last one, and I believe on this one as well, we have signed petitions by all the members of the neighborhood and whatnot. So
Thank you,
we
Doug.
appealed separately, but we're essentially representing not only Walker Farm neighborhood, but those residents off of Shaw Road.
I would suggest, Mr. President, that if you would like to, I don't know how much time the appellant has left, 3 minutes to reserve that time. So if Mr. Simpson comes in, maybe he could address us if he wants to do that. I know it's out of order. I don't know if y'all have any objections to that.
As long as Mr. Jones gets a rebuttal time, he probably won't mind.
I don't know, if, you know, procedurally whether that,
I would just like to go forward, you know, this thing has been batting back and forth quite a few times, so.
oh, I'm not talking
Yeah.
about delaying our decision today, Mike.
Okay.
I'm talking about the few minutes or so he has left, if Steve comes in to allow him to address us, out of order,
Yeah,
in
he
effect.
can,
it'd
he
be
can
out
do
of-
that as long as you give me a chance, if there's something new came up that I didn't have a chance
Yeah,
to respond
sure.
to.
Rebuttal, yeah.
Sure,
Do
yeah,
that. So-
sure.
So should we proceed?
Yes. I think so.
I think we still should at least wait the three, I don't know,
He's actually got
20 more minutes.
23
Right.
minutes left.
Right.
It's up to the board if y'all want to let Malcolm proceed, and Malcolm's comfortable with doing that.
Procedurally, as long as Malcolm has the opportunity to address whatever, rebut whatever Steve has to say, it's just a procedural, let's be fair, that's all, I think, yeah?
Yeah, I think you can do
Just a
that.
fairness,
It's up to the
and-
board.
and if he agrees to it,
We think.
Okay, that's fine.
I think we'll probably relish the thought of going forward without having to rebut Steve. He gets to take a shot
he
first.
might not show up at all.
He might not show up at all.
Proceed?
Yes, I think so.
Malcolm Jones, excuse me, for the developer. Mr. Jacob Huckabee with the Huckabee Company of South Mississippi LLC. Originally, when we first proposed this, it was a 158 lot, single-family residential subdivision on a 91.6 acre parcel. We have gone back and forth trying to address the concerns of the residents in the area. And so now we have reduced it, well, at the time of the hearing, we reduced it to 155 lots on 82 acres, 38 acres of which were delineated wetlands, which is about 46% of the overall acreage. The density at that time was 1.92 lots per acre. And as you know, the density threshold is 3. So we've actually, at the planning commission meeting, agreed to reduce it down to 149 lots maximum. The big concern at the hearing seemed to have been about the traffic and going in to Shaw Road. There is a platted road there that's called Donna Perry Avenue. It was never improved. Our plan was to go ahead and to improve it and to have 3 lanes going in and out and to have both an acceleration lane and a deceleration lane to allow for traffic coming into off of Shaw Road so they can pull off, and as they pull onto, they can go into the acceleration lane, and then to avoid, you know, the problem they were talking about.
Mike, you're
having
talking
people-
about Shaw Road itself being
Yes, sir.
improved with turn lanes, what we normally
Talk-
call
Yes,
turn lanes.
Yeah, so the subdivision entrance, it's maybe hard to see on this, but it has 3 lanes going in and out. And so basically what that amounts to is it will prevent people from pulling directly out onto Shaw Road.
Okay.
They'll have the opportunity to pull into either the XL lane, and if they're trying to get into the subdivision, they can pull into the decel lane. So traffic will be able to go past it as opposed to pulling straight out and getting rear-ended or hit from the side if you're trying to make a left turn. So we agreed to do that. That was something that was recommended to us, and so we made that part of our presentation.
One thing, I'm sorry, Mike.
It's okay.
Have y'all discussed this with the road department, county road department? Has Tim Smith been involved in looking at this with Shaw Road? I'm just curious.
We have talked with the county engineer. We've done all we can at this stage. Now, obviously, we'll have to do actual designs to comply with what the county requires, both for the road and for the entrance out in the decel and acceleration lanes.
I'm the one that recommended the decel lane to get them off the Shaw.
So they're aware, you're aware of it?
And you like the plan?
Well, it's not a.
All right, not an engineer, sorry.
Zoning issue, but
Right.
he's been consulted, county engineer and road department.
We've done all we can do at this point, you know, to try to deal with the issue. And we even reduced the lot size down to where we don't even have to have the secondary access, to be honest with you, because once you get below 150, you only have to have one way in and out, which we can actually go down to Highway 53. But to try to eliminate some of the traffic going down that way to, you know. try
Would
to
that serve
reduce-
as your emergency exit?
It could be. I mean, it's actually gonna be a full-fledged road going in and out, because some people said, you know, don't direct all the traffic down to us here in the south part. And so to respect that, we tried to go ahead and have 2 ways in and out. The water and sewer was not talked about, but we addressed that. We have a will-serve letter from the utility out there in the area. So all that's handled. Riverbend. And they also brought up something about the endangered species out in the area. We had a survey done by a group, and we got a letter back from the Cultural Heritage, Mississippi Heritage Program, and they said as long as we follow all the best management practices for the subdivision, there'll be no threat to any endangered or threatened species. I guess the big thing that they were concerned about were lot sizes. There's no doubt that the lot sizes in Walker Farms 1A and B and Phase 2, which are south of us, and it's kind of in the middle section, if you'll recall that area out there. There are lots that are more in the range of 80 and 100 feet. Ours are, at least 95 of them are 70 feet wide and above. So we tried to do a mix. We've been told in the past we don't like those cookie cutter types of subdivisions. We try to mix them up in sizes so people can have different types of affordable housing. The minimum square footage house that we were talking about was going to be 1,800 and something square feet. It's an area that already has, as you know, subdivisions already in place. We feel like we are compliant with the county's code and other subdivisions in the area. We do have some lot sizes that are smaller than 70 feet, but that's similar to what they have in places like Audubon Place, and the other subdivisions are within 1.5 to 2 miles of the area. The big problem, if y'all recall, was what to do about the road. On the meeting that we had of the Planning Commission, and that was November 17, 2022. And I have a copy of these minutes, but I have to tell you that they're not final yet. But in the course of that meeting, Mr. Gillespie, after consultation with the county engineer and others, made a report to the planning commission. As you recall, y'all had asked us to remand it back to do a report about that and have findings. And so the county went ahead, the planning commission went ahead and decided to accept the recommendation of Mr. Gillespie. And basically what it amounts to is that the areas that needed to be paved in the subdivision, and I have a draft here that I can make part of that record along with the minutes.
It's front and back.
Yeah, right here. Basically, what it amounts to is our clients, both Mr. Huckabee and Mr. Baudry with the Walker Farms West and South, which is the middle part and the part closer down to Highway 53, have agreed to go ahead and pave the areas that need to be paved.
To the county specifications.
Yes, to the county specifications in accordance with the county's schedule. There are certain times it's the right time to pave, and other times when you're doing construction that you don't want to pave because it all gets torn up again.
That's right.
Yeah, so we don't want to do that, but we will do it according to the county's specifications and according to the county's direction. That's what we call. And we made those commitments at the planning commission meeting on November. Tim, you'll probably find it about halfway through where it talks about that. But basically, we've done all we can do. I mean, frankly, it's something that the county was responsible for, as you know. I mean, this is the previous developer that we have nothing to do with was responsible for, but he's gone. There's no way to get him back in the game, as they say, and so this has to be done. So it's probably going to cost, what do we guesstimate it to be, Bonnie?
About $100,000, a little over $100,000.
Little over $100,000, and our clients jointly are going to pay that cost.
And we appreciate it, but our concern was that we don't approve subdivisions and houses being built, and then people having to go over an unimproved road to get out.
I understand.
And that's what we were concerned about. We
Right.
don't think the taxpayers should have had to pick that.
I agree, and I think the original developer should have taken care of that, and
That's
that's
right.
years and
I
years and
agree.
years ago, but nevertheless, it's a condition of the property as it exists today that we have to meet, so we're gonna meet it. And we've agreed definitively to cover that. So unless you have any questions for me, pretty much it. We're trying to do some good development here in the area, and we're trying to work with the people, but sometimes, I think, the opposition had said they wanted the lot size to be 87 feet. There's really no way that we can meet that with the wetlands that we have. We have to have a certain number of lots to be able to make this cost effective. We cannot go ahead and continue to reduce even further. I think the planning commission recommended or recognized that, because this is multiple hearings we've had with them, that we had gone as far as we could go.
Are
So-
those lot sizes that you're proposing
Yeah.
kind of the same as with other Walker Farm Road subdivisions
Yes.
there?
Yes.
I think you referred to as west and south.
Yes,
Are those lot sizes roughly the same? as-
they are exactly roughly the same as you said. And just so you can remember this, Walker Farms West was like the middle part, and then Walker Farms South was down closer to Highway 53. And then, of course, the part that was, it gives you some idea there. It's kind of showing, Bobby, where,
Let me just say, it's the first 10 minutes up, but you're gonna continue on.
You can take my 10
Yeah.
minutes.
yeah.
I believe it.
So, yeah, these are the other two that are not.
That's west and south.
This will be what we're calling north, this will be west, and this is south. But it all comes down through here. These are half-acre lots here going through
Those
the
are all
middle.
half acre.
Yes.
Half acre lot?
They got 2 lanes.
20,000 square foot lots. So, and then also the entrance here, or the entrance on 53, it has the same thing. We're having a D-cell, XL lane.
Turn around.
Yes, ma'am. And then we'll have a right out, a left out, and a right in. So just like the entrance up here, just to stack cars or whatever, if that's needed. But the paving would consume.
Where's
Where there's unfinished
the road that we have
Right
an
here.
issue with?
It's from here down.
Right,
This
you
had-
couldn't get out, yeah.
So this is wasn't finished, it was the surface layer that wasn't
Yeah, well-
completed, and then we're gonna take it all the way down.
Why didn't the county litigate against the
I don't
people
know.
that hijacked? I don't get that. That was 10 years ago, it was before your time.
Well,
but-
statute of limitations doesn't run against the county, so.
Well, let me just tell you
Really?
this. If I thought there was a way that we could pursue the developer on behalf of the county, I would ask the county to assign their rights to us and let us try to get some
You
of
wanna
that
do
money
it for
back.
free, Malcolm? Go ahead.
Let me just tell you this, if there's a way for us to do that, and I'll talk to Mr. Holman about it, we will.
We could do that.
Yeah,
Chose.
You probably, we should.
could.
That's tax money down the drain.
yeah,
You actually just hire Malcolm.
yeah.
He
Well,
already knows about
let me
it.
just tell you this, I
The
wanna see
point
if
is,
it's
what's
viable.
right is right. He walked
Because-
away with the money.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Is there a bond on that, do we know? There was.
There was a
There
bond.
There was a bond?
They were put on notice
They don't-
before it expired, and they were put on notice, and we've not accepted those roads.
The statute doesn't run whether it expired
Yeah.
or not, so you
Yeah.
can still sue them.
Yeah.
And the developer. Part of the problem with these bonds.
There are things to do, but, you know, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're saying we will pay the money to fix the road. Whether
Yeah.
that comes through or not, that's a whole nother issue.
Well,
It's not dependent upon this at all.
I would like to say, in light of the larger lots, the less houses, which I appreciate, you've gone down to 158,
Yeah.
not only one lane, but
Now we're down to
149. Well,
right.
that picture I counted to 58.
Well,
158.
originally it was 158, then it went to 155. but
And now
this-
it's 149.
149.
All right, that's even better, okay, good. I would make a motion to go ahead and approve. I'm happy with all that you have done, especially with the turnarounds and the help on Shaw Road.
I think you need to have a little rebuttal first. before you-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where's a little rebuttal? Steve Simpson is not little. There's nothing little about him.
You still have to ask.
It's gonna be up to the.
I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
I'm a little lower than Steve is. So as far as the rebuttal goes, not to contradict your motion.
No, go ahead. I apologize. This is your time.
So
You can
here's.
change your mind.
That's
Yeah,
right.
So, do you mind if I see that card again? Can you hold it for you? No, so, I believe, and I don't know if y'all have your computers in front of you, if we looked
Yes.
at it last time. So this was initially, and I know it's been back and forth a bunch of time, it was initially declined by the planning commission, then approved and declined. It's been back and forth, right? Because the idea that everyone has, besides the legalese aspect of it, is
Yeah.
obviously we're building, we want to move forward, we don't want to stifle the growth. Now, they have said multiple times, if you look at all of these are gonna be 60-foot lots. And a good portion of these, if you look at your computer and the plat and how it's laid out. So he said 95% or 90% is 70-foot plus lots?
95 lots of
Okay.
150.
Out of 115, yes.
Or 70 or 60?
Are
70. I think.
95,
Great question.
149 lots are 70 foot or greater.
He just said 60.
Yeah.
60-foot, yeah, because all of these are 6-foot lots. So he said 95 out of 149.
Or
So,
greater than 70, is what you're saying?
Those are 60.
70 or greater.
Good, that's what I said, we're great.
based on the plat that was shown to us when we were talking about lot sizes and doing everything with the planning commission, all of those on the back end were 60. You
you
should
read-
have that on the record as well, not just.
I'll let you finish.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No.
So beyond that, it's conforming to the law as it is written. That's why it's been back and forth. Y'all, if y'all remember, you pushed back the other zone. Now, S&W Properties, the one, now I know it's different removed, we have a different applicant up here, but the ones representing down in this area is S&W Properties. That is the same owner as the original Walker Farm, who didn't do the roads themselves. That is why we are recommending that the road be done first. Because I know the representation is different, but here's the thing, a majority of the construction and whatnot is probably gonna go in on the top end of this. It's probably not coming on that long road.
If I may, I think what we can do, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, he wants the road built first. That's, we can condition this that they will not get a certificate of occupancy without those roads completed.
What does that mean exactly?
That means that
He's the
they
answer.
couldn't,
You can't sell
they
anything.
can't sell the home.
So they can build all the houses, they just can't do
They
that.
can build all the houses they want, but they
Right.
can't get a CO.
Until we
until
approve the
those
road.
roads are
Okay.
built. So
So-
that,
That could
what
be
I'm
good.
saying, I'm telling
Yes.
you that is one methodology we can use to make him build those roads.
Okay.
That road. to
I
the
love that
reservation.
idea. Second part of that rebuttal is just conform to the law and the housing sizes as well. He says there's similar, subdivisions and whatnot. This is a little weird because it's right by the fairgrounds, it's off 53, there's not a whole heck of a lot of development up there. He's going off of Audubon Lake. In our representation last time, we mentioned that you have 2.5 miles in every single direction to where there's nothing that's anywhere near this. They're all half acre, 1 acre, 1.5 acres, because a lot of it is rural agricultural areas, and there's small pockets where you have half acre, little larger areas like that. It's not till you get close to 49. So it's a bit misleading. It's just as misleading to say, hey, look, we're under 3 houses, per acre, so it conforms. That's like, you have, 150 houses on 33 acres? That's more than 3. It doesn't conform to the comprehensive plan. At that point, it's just the lexicon and what we're using, right? If I bought 100 acres of land and I built 100 houses on 10 acres, you think about it, it's 0.1 acre per house. But I can sit here as a lawyer and say, well, it's 1 per acre, really, because technically it is, but it's not. So you can't bunch all of these houses in a very, very small condensed area and then use the 38% of wetlands and say, oh, it's just like they have. It's half acre per house. Because the reality of it is it's just not true. They're lot and blocking this whole area. The lot sizes and the housing sizes are going to be 40% diminished from what's currently there. That's also going to affect the housing values. They have said that they can't move forward, they can't reduce the lot sizes or anything else like that because it's not cost effective. The point of law is not to be profitable for home builders. The point of law is that it conforms to the neighborhood. The safety, the conformity, and this doesn't get anywhere close to it. Nowhere can we say it's diminished by 40%. It's going to affect the tax values. It's going to affect everyone in that neighborhood. And the closest thing you can get is 3 miles away and say it conforms. It doesn't. There's no way that that argument can be made. And we asked them to reduce the lot sizes and make them comparable to the plan that was approved a decade ago before '08, because he was going to continue on that. He all had 100-foot lots and half acres, just like everyone else. It got approved back then. Why can't they do that now? They say it's not cost effective. We don't even know who the builder is. We don't even know who's doing it. So how do we know it's cost effective? Their math that's just out there in the atmosphere. I do math for a living. We've drawn up plans for them. We've gone and said, hey, look, you can do this. We've drawn up plans, how much it costs to build a house per square, footage, everything else. We've tried on our end to come to the table to have an understanding to move this forward because we don't want to backtrack and we don't want to hold up progress for the county and for Gulfport and the Gulf Coast as a whole.
Good deal.
But it still doesn't conform, and that's the issue.
We kind of ran out of time. I
I'm
gave you an
sorry.
extra minute to let you kind of cut you short earlier.
Just a short rebuttal.
Bobby Heinrich, 1806 23rd Avenue, Gulfport. So again, we have gone back and forth with the planning department, the planning review committee, and we have done everything we've been asked to do with this subdivision. And as far as lot sizes and this, and I don't want to get confused. I mean, yes, we've tried to implement the new ordinance, and it does. It meets most of the new ordinance requirements. But this project started way before that ordinance was even thought about. And so we tried to blend it in this subdivision. And so I'm just saying we've addressed every comment of the planning department, and we've been approved because of that. With the turning lanes and the paving and that kind of sort, I think we've gone above and beyond on this subdivision. And anyway, I'll let Malcolm finish.
So what Mr. Peck, and I guess whomever else he represents, would like to see is what it existed back prior to 2008. And as we all know, we have moved on. We've moved on in the county, we've moved on in the cities, we've just moved on. And so what's most important is that traffic situation has changed out there with the development and improvement of Highway 53. There's water and sewer out there that didn't exist before. So now you can have these types of lot sizes. And I represent to you, it's in the record, you've read the transcript, that there are 95 lots, not 95%, 95 out of the 149 lots that were above 70 feet. Now, we have been told to not go ahead and go in there and use a cookie cutter type of deal and mix them up. Give opportunities for smaller lots for families that can't afford as much. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this to where it's only people of a certain higher income can afford these lots. We're trying to create housing that's going to be for all types of people and all types of families, and I think we've done a good job. And frankly, I don't know any other developer that's come to you and said, and we'll go ahead and pay $100,000 to pave roads that we shouldn't have had to pay to begin with. I mean, and we put the decel lanes in, and we put in the excel lanes, and we did everything that we were asked to do to try to deal with the Shaw Road problem. I know these people are honestly telling you there's an issue with Shaw Road out there, and it's a traffic issue, but frankly, we can't fix it. I mean, we as the developers cannot fix it. We don't have the ability to go out there and reconfigure Shaw Road. At some point, I know the county will deal with that issue once they get enough information and funds to deal with it appropriately. But the problems that have to be fixed on Shaw Road are probably not anywhere close to this particular area. They're further up the road from what I hear from people out in the area. So I don't want people to think that I don't care. I do care about that. I care about their safety, but we can't do anything more than what we've done here. So just ask you.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Where is the entrance on Shaw Road? Is it, how far north of curve?
Because there are fatalities there, right?
I see.
Sure.
So it's way,
It's past it?
okay, I know where you're at now.
Right.
I thought I knew where the roads would come out.
Right.
Okay, that's significantly past.
It's past the curve?
Right.
Significantly past.
Right.
In fact, that's almost across from Ms. Shaw's house to, by the church.
Sure.
To come out.
It is almost directly across from the church, and we've gone up there and looked at the visibility in both directions, and it's open
Yeah.
there.
So we have tried, and look, I know that you have an important job, and you have to balance. You have to always balance, you know, the rights of the people out there as opposed to the people that want to develop property. But I think this is a good subdivision, and I think it's one that we've done all we can do to try to make it right. So, yes.
Can I say something for the record? You're talking about $100,000 to pave the road, but nobody said the name of the road. I assume you're talking about Walker Farm Lane.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so for the record, y'all are gonna pave it all the way to 53?
As it shows in that report, Tim, the portions that Mr. Gillespie pointed out, he has it divided up into A, B, and C, and he worked all that out. Jackie?
Part of your conditional use permit.
Correct.
With no price limit. You've said 100,000, but it doesn't mean it's limited to
Whatever
that.
it takes.
Whatever
it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Okay.
So the conditions would be that it be reduced to 149 lots as recommended by the planning department, and second, that we will go ahead and do the paving as per that report that was presented and approved by the planning commission there in the November meeting.
All right.
And Miss Jackie's here too. I mean, if y'all have any questions, I'm sure she could address those, but I think we pretty much presented exactly the way we agreed to it.
And you're willing to, add to it, you're willing, as part of the conditional use permit, to pursue a claim against the bonding company and the original company developer?
I'm not saying I will, but if the county's willing to work with us, I'll talk with the clients and see if they want to pay for that representation.
But that money goes back to the county.
Well, it goes to the
It
paving.
goes to us.
Well, it has to come to the county, but
Yeah.
it can be assigned to, by the board
But
to
it
the
have- right.
roadway.
'Cause
to
we
reduce their
oversee
outlay
it.
for the
Correct.
road.
Correct.
Can't go to you, I hate to tell you that, but it can't.
No, I know, but the point.
Y'all laughed when I said it, but.
I didn't laugh, I knew what you were talking about.
But the point is that I really have to look into seeing whether or not that's a viable claim to pursue, because at this point, if it's an LLC that has no assets, then I
Yeah.
don't know what
You
we're
And
doing.
might
there's
have
a
filed
bond there.
13
The bond
too.
statute won't run against the bond either.
Yeah, bonding companies have a particularly elusive way of getting out of things, but we'll see.
Yeah, but usually the bond is either 50 or, somewhere in that range, and they don't want to spend a lot of money fighting for 50.
Well, let's see, because they put them up, and somebody needs to pay that shouldn't be us, but we're gonna pay. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I think my motion stands in light of all the improvements and things we've asked. I would make a motion to approve.
And one of the other conditions that was added by Mr. Platt
Yes.
was that no COs will be issued until the
Yes.
road has been painted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Because that wasn't part of the
absolutely.
planning commission.
Yeah,
That'll have to be added.
right.
So the board is, make sure we're clear on it, the board is denying the appeal based on the representations made here today, in addition to that, no COs will be issued until the road is Walker Farm Lane Road has its final pavement later by the developer.
And approved by us.
Approved.
Tim, as described in the report by Mr. Gillespie.
As described in the report from
It's
Mr.
more than
Gillespie.
just that one road is the reason.
Now, wait a minute, that's.
It's more than just that road.
Okay.
Hold on just a minute, let's make sure we got something clear here. I think Mr. Chris's concern was, will those turn lanes and all that be put in guaranteed?
That's you.
So I guess it's two parts. One, if the motion moves forward, which it could still be denied, but if the motion moves forward, we'd want, obviously, the road's done and everything as far as they've amended to Shaw Road and everything else, as far as the turn lanes and whatnot, actually done beforehand.
Y'all willing to do that now?
Yes.
That, because that, you
Yes,
know,
that's
nobody,
actually-
you can't sell, I don't think anybody's gonna buy a house if they don't have a right to occupy.
We understand.
So you're talking about all those houses having to be built and not occupied until, because we don't want you to go in and pave the road when the first house has started construction and the contractors coming in with concrete and dirt tear the road up.
Right.
Of course, y'all warranted that and you,
If I could add to it, Bobby Heinrich, 1806 23rd Avenue, Gulfport. That will be part of the construction plans, the construction documents to be approved by the county, and it'll be part of the plans to go ahead and put those turning bays and turning lanes in there at those, both of those entrances.
right.
Again, this is three, we're not talking about the lower two, but this one project, yes, that entrance in the north will be built during construction of the subdivision.
Okay, just make sure we got that clear.
Sorry, let y'all vote on that first. Now.
Okay, can we get a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. What do you have, Tim?
Yeah, I would recommend to the board that we do an order authorizing the board attorney to investigate and pursue a claim against the developer and or the bonding company involved in Walker Farm Lane and the other roads that are mentioned in the report, if there are other names, to see if we can pursue a claim if it's okay. And then I'm authorized to associate Mr. Jones at the developer's expense to pursue that.
Now, let me ask you something, Tim, make sure I understood what y'all said about them getting their money. If we pursue that claim and is successful, they've already paid for the road, and we pursue the claim and successful, you mean to tell me that the county would get the money and we can't pay
No,
them?
you
We
would be able
pass
to
it.
reimburse them for whatever.
Okay, I just want to understand that.
It just gotta go through the county, it can't be going to a.
Right, oh, I understand that,
Just
but
out of
you're gonna get to reimburse your contract.
Just out of curiosity, who would be the claim against? The original developer?
Original developer and his bonding company.
You're gonna lose that claim, it's a dissolved LLC.
Why not? But the bonding company's not.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's something worth a look at. So Malcolm's gonna look at it, I'm not gonna charge for what Malcolm's gonna be doing, but I'm gonna associate Malcolm that way. Keep it clean.
I'll make that motion.
Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna recognize Ms. Angel Middleton to speak on behalf of Harrison County Fairgrounds event promoters and users. Number 3.
We're going back. Number 3.
Angel Middleton, 12 Bywview Drive, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Cindy Clark, 15487 County Farm Road, Gulfport, Mississippi.
And this is our, he can introduce himself, Mr. Terry.
Yeah, Terry Campbell, 132 Oakwood, Gulfport. I'm representing Highlands and Islands Association of Celtic Gatherings.
I'm sorry, representing who, sir?
Highlands and Islands Association of Celtic
Scottish
Gatherings.
Games.
Oh, okay.
Highland Games.
Gotcha.
highly fixed.
So we want to start out by saying we really appreciate Kent Jones for getting us on the agenda today. I'm speaking on behalf of the Gulf Coast Winter Classics, a 21-year event at the fairgrounds. The Highlands and Islands is a 20-year event. American Quarter Horse Association is a 20-year event. Mississippi High School Rodeo, Mississippi Junior High Rodeo, South Mississippi Horse Show and Rodeo Association, over a 40-year event. Shaylin Benefield, CBR Barrel Racing, her father is in the audience, a pile of team ropers and other people interested in the fairgrounds. We're a very diverse group. Our children use this facility. We're all colors, all races, gay, straight, you name it. We are a big, diverse melting pot of folks. We want to make sure that this board is aware of the issues you have already voted on and will vote on that have a negative effect on our families and our organizations. There are 3 issues. First is going to credit card only. Second is the contract that we use to do business with the county. And third are the conditions at the fairgrounds. First, I'd like to address the credit card issues. Organizations like all of ours, we have a board of directors. 2 people have to sign off on a check. We're not allowed to have credit cards. Our organizations have bylaws that prohibit. So does junior high rodeo, so does high school rodeo. When you have a board, you can't hand out a credit card to somebody. So we have rules, that's gonna put us out. I just wanna let y'all know, we have an event scheduled for next weekend at the fairgrounds. We got a call on the 22nd of November that said either you have to pay with a credit card or cancel your event that we've had scheduled for a year. That is in no way fair to us. So getting past that, we would really like to see an answer for us would be for the county to adopt using e-checks. With an e-check, we could still write a check. We could hand it to you guys. You can deposit it on the spot. That would fix that for us. But the credit card is a deal breaker for all of us.
I think cash was the issue, Angel. It was actual cash, but I
Yeah,
like Venmo.
Y'all
E-checks, I think,
y'all
are
voted
still-
on the 7th, but if we could go to e-checks that would make us, we can go with that.
Yeah, but
Secondly, the contract for use of the facility, there's a 2015, a 2020, and a 2021 contract. If you vote today to accept the 2020 contract, we would have to pay everything up front. That is the arena, the deposit, the cleanup, the stalls, and the hookups. Y'all, we have no idea how many people are coming to our event. There is no promoter that knows how many people are coming. I can't pay for stalls that we don't even know how many.
Yeah, we
can't
don't, that's
pay.
not in there. Is Greg over here? Because that was not in there. The
Okay.
deposit and the cleanup was there, but didn't we go back to counting the stalls? Greg?
Listen, they on this.
No, ma'am, we actually pay by the barn, by the use of the barn. But as the contract states, as of right now, they do have to pay everything up front.
And the
Upfront
bars,
as in the day of the show.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not up front. That's the day of the show.
Yes.
wait a minute, this contract says that when we sign the contract, we have to pay for the
Yeah,
event.
okay, she's correct. As it states right now, whenever they.
That's what we're trying to fix.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to the day of the show.
The day of the show would be.
Yeah, that's
great.
why we're
Right
teeing
now,
that
it's
up.
really,
Right
because
now, yeah.
we used to have 8 to 10, I'm talking specifically about South Mississippi Horse Show and Rodeo. We used to have 8 to 10 events, and we book our show dates just like everybody else does. Barrel racers, the Highland, everybody books in advance to secure your date. However, for our little club, we can't pay that up front. We cannot.
But you
We'll
can
have
pay
to
your
just quit.
deposit and clean it, because you get the cleanup back.
Yeah, but that's
But the
$300
You
a
can't rent an
show.
apartment and not put a deposit up front.
Right, but we've been there 40 years, Miss Martin. We've
Would
never,
it be
we
for-
never wrote a bad check. We never backed down on an event. We've never done anything.
I know, but
against
that's
the county.
unusual for, I mean, that's
We have
new.
to, it's
This is
policy.
for everybody.
We have to make policy.
So what would you suggest, how far in advance? So you just call and reserve it, but then go up there 10 days before and pay the deposit?
Deposit. No. Deposit at the time of booking. H&I has no problem with that.
We're saying though, if
She
you
just said
book
she did.
your event a year in advance, that, for us that book multiple events, that's a problem.
She just
Because
said
we
she
don't
Just a
have that.
deposit? Just
If
a
the
three to
deposit
$400
and the cleanup
deposit?
is
Yeah,
$300.
but see, I'm with you, I don't see a problem with, you pay a deposit up front on everything, but,
So we.
and the
so-
cleanup,
and-
once you pay that, you get that back after the event, if
Yeah.
somebody cleaned up.
That is an
That's a
issue for us
typical deal.
little folks
It might
is to
be,
pay.
but that's kind of a typical.
But then we can't book, we're just gonna have to stay in Hancock County because they don't do
Well, you know,
that.
it's funny, cause I just had lunch with the Hancock County guys at the SMPD, and they asked when we was gonna go up, because they're losing business to us, is what they said.
Well,
That's
not true.
We run there
That's
every
what they
weekend.
said.
They've
I actually
moved to
had trouble
Hancock
booking-
County.
I've actually had trouble booking our
I'm
shows
just telling you
because
what
of
the Hancock
Hancock.
County guys do.
But like,
Not
the
not
contract we have now that we've been using the past 2 years has worked
Which
wonderful.
is what we're trying to fix. It does not work wonderful, which
Okay,
is
but in-
why we need to
In
fix
the
it.
Board of Supervisor meeting on November 7th, y'all wanted to bring forth the contract from 2020, which will have us paying all this stuff up front. the-
Which is
the
what we
deposit.
should, in
But this would
personally,
be
I
the
think
only
we should.
facility from Jackson, Mississippi on down that requires that for any horse event. I
Right
have
now, it's the
done my
only facility in
Requires a
Harrison County that does, yeah.
No, not the deposit, everything up front.
Wait, we have a comptroller there that can say something.
My understanding from the draft contract that was done in 2020, it was paying the facility deposit and
And-
the rental deposit, which are both refundable, as
Right.
well as the event fee, and only an estimate, a partial payment on the estimate number of RV sites and stalls, since that count would not be final.
That's still a bulk of the money though, because if I was to book 8 shows up front,
You're
I
talking
would have to pay
$1,000.
Right,
thousands of
that's
dollars.
thousands of dollars for little local people who pay taxes
Listen,
to use their
Why
facility
would
in their
you
own
book 8
backyard.
shows
Well, the
up
local
front?
people also
Because I
pay
need
the
my 8
deposit
shows to
specific.
show my schedule for the year. So
But
our
you don't have to
shows
book
start
them.
from
You can do your
January.
schedule and show your schedule.
No, I've had my show being taken over because I didn't get a deposit down in
Which
time.
brings me to what I'm about to
And
tell
I
you.
know,
We've had that fairgrounds taken over because people have called and said, will you hold it for me? And then the problem is, that show, for whatever reason, cancels and we.
That's why she books in
That's
advance.
non-refundable
That's why she
deposit.
Yeah,
reserves.
she's not, she's reserving, there's a difference. Reserving and
I
booking
have
is
no
two
problem
different
paying
things.
the deposits. Like right now, we pay $50 deposit. All
$50 deposit is fine.
it's fine.
I guess.
But when I have to pay, and that's Hancock's $50, Van Cleef's $50.
Exactly. This is
For everyone.
Actually, the Jackson Fairgrounds, that's indoor facility, that's air conditioned, doesn't even require a deposit.
That's the state of Mississippi's horse show.
Yeah. So,
Jackson is in lots of trouble.
Well,
Listen, we're talking about, this
let
is
me just
Bourbon,
interject if you don't mind.
Poplarville, a meat, Brookhaven, Van Cleef,
Meridian,
Hancock County, Coral Road,
it goes on and
Meridian.
on.
We know what the deal is at all these other pens. We ride there.
the 2020 contract will also have us renting a full barn.
Yeah.
Well, at our little local one-day show, we may only need 1 or 2 stalls.
Exactly.
I can't afford to pay $500.
And that's what I was getting ready to point out, what's wrong with the 2020
Where-
contract, was if you use 2 little stalls, you'd have to pay for the whole
The whole
barn.
barn.
With all due respect, I'm barely a horse
I thought
person,
you
y'all
paid
are
for
not
an
horse
estimate.
people,
I thought
and this is
you
how it's
yeah, I
done.
am.
That's the.
I thought
Really?
you would have
Look at the
to pay.
difference, y'all are trying to
But
increase
I
their
thought
pay.
We're not. And I
Barn B
just
is
see
96 stalls, y'all. We
Look,
don't
on
need
one
that.
rent,
We
excuse me,
can't
There's
afford
no
that.
minimum that you have to pay half of
One
the
at a
stuff.
time.
You
One
have
at a
to
time.
rent the whole barn
But
on that
that's what I
contract.
thought in this 20, we were gonna do an estimate. Am I misunderstanding that?
The board adopted a policy, which I gave you, that set zones up. And
Right.
charge per zone, which is, I think, what they're talking about.
So that's where the issue is
Right.
with the deposit. It's not per stall, it's what that
Right, it's a
zone
zone.
is.
It was also per stall, we were gonna charge them for the whole barn, even if they only used a few stalls. And what you have on the agenda to approve today is that if someone uses the entire facility for a whole week, they're gonna pay $25,000.
That's correct.
It's been $15,000, so y'all are saying you're not raising the prices, but you're gonna raise it by $10,000 a week and say that we're not raising prices? It's in my district, I have a very big problem with this, and I support them
And if I
100%.
may, I've got the money right here, and it's only one group that pays 25,000, and we try to do this to make it fair, which was Janet McCarroll's group. So in 21 to 23, week 1, she's paid 15, week 2, 15. Week 3, 25,000. Week 4, 25,000. Week 5, 25,000. Week 6, 15. and week 7, 15,000 for 22 and 23. However, we cut that back because COVID and she didn't have it 7 weeks.
No, because I
And
said that it was
then,
One at a time, one at a
unfair.
time.
Sorry.
Okay.
But that's what I'm just saying. So it's never that it's popping up to 25,000. 25,000 was what the entire 725 acres was going to cost. And it was cut up, you were here when we did the zone thing. They came up with the zones. And
I didn't
so
like
the
it then.
reason was we used what Janet was paying at 25,000 a week, because they said it's not fair if somebody else comes in there and pays for the Grand Prix, but doesn't pay, and they're paying $2,000 for a Grand Prix. Well, if you did the Grand Prix at $2,000 and went around to the other zones, it would come to $40,000. So we said, you know, it all needs to fit in with this 25,000. That was a number that we used. Then we went down this year at her request, or actually at Rebecca's request, for her lack of participation. 1 year was for COVID, 1 year was for lack of participation. And I'm sure the participation is probably because there's a new nice $1 million arena being built, or actually built, no Caleb. But I mean, I've got the figure, so it's never that we were gonna go up. It was to match all this out to the 25. Now, if you're proposing we just leave it at 15, and then go back and look at the zones and make them equal 15.
Well, what it is, if you go with
Don't
this
matter to me.
the contract you're looking at today, so the Gulf Coast Winter Classics, if you said 25,000 a week, now, I'm glad y'all are going to 15, that will help. This figure
If
is
we
on.
go to 15.
We already went to 15.
This
No,
figure is
yeah,
on
we did.
25,000 a
We
week,
went.
but then she has to pay extra for stalls, extra for hookups. She would go from rent on that facility of 150,000 to 281,000 for
But
her
part of
rent.
that was
She
her
will be
request,
out.
Angel.
She's not gonna stay for that. I know, I
Well,
talked
she
to her.
might not stay because
The-
of Caleb,
the-
but part of that was
May I
her
speak now?
request. That was her
The
request.
biker event that
She
paid
didn't want to count.
25,000, it was a week-long event,
Mhm.
that would cost them 70,000. You guys are pricing us right out of the
But how
county.
would that cost?
Go ahead,
Did
go
they-
ahead.
Because if they charge, because instead of paying 25 for the whole facility, then you're charging camper hookups, stalls, all that extra. That would be 281,000 for Miss McCarroll,
I didn't know.
and
about
it would have been
this.
70,000.
Yeah,
You're
so-
not including the whole thing anymore, you're separating it. But
But they
back
paid
to
50.
stalls, we can't rent a whole barn. We're just gonna have to tell people, you cannot come to our event and rent a stall, because we can't pay 500 for a whole barn we don't use but 10 stalls. That's not fair to us.
So, see, when I got on this board, they used to count the stalls.
Yeah.
And then from what I understand, I thought it was Janet's idea, now I may be wrong. She just wanted to do a flat fee because it was labor intense to count the stalls. So now you're saying go back to count the stalls. I would-
You just have to-
Thank you. So just to clarify, the reason we went from 25,000 for Janet McCarroll on the Winter Classic to 15,000 is because I saw it as unfair to charge anyone. You could have a guy coming from Pakistan, you could have a guy coming from New Jersey and pay 15,000 a week. But Janet McCarroll in the Winter Class were paying 25, sometimes 30,000 a week.
Never
That, 25,000. So to tell you, you can do it for 15, but you need to do it for 25 is not right.
But the biker people.
That is not right. That is why I pushed and pushed and pushed to get it to go to 15,000. You say we're not raising the rates, but I'm looking at what we have on our agenda to approve today. The old one that I've had on a spreadsheet says 15,000 per week. Today, y'all are trying to approve 25,000, so you're trying to go back to the 25,000. We have an empty place that people are moving out of our county for, that our taxpayers are paying for, but you don't want to raise the rates. Who in a vacant facility would ever want to charge more when you're vacant and our people are leaving? It doesn't make sense.
But this is what I'm saying, you did the same thing I did 7 years ago. 7 years ago it was 25,000, so the zones were all cut and priced to equal 25. You came on board and we lowered the rate to 15,000.
That's what everyone was doing except Janet McCarroll.
No, I just told you what she paid, I can prove it to you. But I was under the understanding that was COVID, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. If you wanna pay 15 grand, that's cool with
Yeah.
me. But in
It
fairness.
just needs to be fair to
but in
everyone.
fairness, we do need to go back and do the zones accordingly that they equal 15, just like they equal 25. That's my point. Because if she's gonna rent the whole facility for 15,000, then zone it out, so if you only use the Grand Prix, you only pay for zone 1 that's worth X number of dollars, so that each one of those zones end up sum total at 15,000.
I'd like to make one more point.
That's not gonna solve their
It's not gonna solve their little problem. I'm talking about the Winter Classic right now. Let me finish if you don't mind. Another very, very large point is about economic impact. I think we need to be eagles and soar above and look down at a big business, because we give money to Cruise in the Coast, right? We give $10,000 a year to Cruise in the Coast, which is great. It brings in a lot of economic impact. But to punish and try to push away someone who also brings in a $30 to $40 million economic impact, like the Winter Classic, is what blows my mind. We are punishing and pushing away and shunning the ones that we should be embracing. That is a big problem.
I agree with you. She's got a great, I mean, I've been on the other side of this fence, taking up for her more than one time. And she does have, now, the reason she has it, it's a longer period of time, but it still comes out to be good economic impact.
Well, she won't stay here much longer if we keep doing this $280,000 it would take for her to do hers.
She told me just yesterday she could not, if the new contract went into effect, and she's got a lot of
But
investment.
Angel, you
into-
suggesting, I'm listening to things, I'm just trying to figure out how to fix this. So one I think we need to do is agree, if y'all want to, on the 15,000 a week, period,
Yes.
for the whole.
For everyone.
For the whole 700 acres. But then we gotta go back and reprice the zones so that it doesn't equal more than the 15,000, so that's cool. But the other issue, the no cash, I gotta stick to the no cash, but I'm
No, we don't
cool
mind
with
the no
the
cash.
e-checks.
I think we settled that with.
If you could go to e-checks, we'll
I'm
fix
good
our
with that.
problem.
And then deposit is the third thing.
Point of issue, on the credit card.
Uh-huh.
And using a credit card absolves the county, for the most part, of a lot of administrative accounting processes, because that's done by your credit card company. You get a consolidated
That's not
bill,
why we
you don't
do
have an admin step, I understand, but the theft and loss, I understand, is not an issue. However, if it's the county really saving effort by using the credit card, why are the users being tagged with the service fee?
Well, you
Well, I
That
think-
would be a cost to doing the business.
Because they do, when you go out to eat and use a credit card, you're tagged with.
If they do e-checks, our problem would be solved
This is-
with credit
yeah,
card.
the
When I
e-checks,
take
we
my
take
credit
care of
card
it.
at any business,
Sir, that's required by law.
That's
The county
required.
can do about that.
But if
Oh,
they do
okay.
e-checks, the
Yeah.
credit card will be a non-issue,
Okay.
if they
Right,
can
or
do
even
that.
Venmo, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a, I
Um,
don't know if we can do it, but it's good.
The deposit, I know y'all think that a $50, which is what we had been paying, the $50 deposit sounds cheap, but we've been there 40 years, he's been there 20, these other groups have been there decades, and we've never tore up anything, we've never been a problem to you guys. We're talking about events that have a history of
Actually, the problem, with all due respect, Angel, until you guys came up again with Miss Janet, somebody put something out there and got glass in the footing of the horse.
Yeah, that's,
seats.
when y'all do
Remember that? I can't
events,
remember now where it was, but,
dirt
so
track.
that's when we came up with the deposit.
Dirt track racing, when you race dirt
Something
track
weird.
cars
Yeah.
and they crash each other in the arena, that is a problem. And
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't
big
think they've been back since then.
They're not allowed in the Grand Prix
Right,
at all.
so they don't
But
come in
they
there.
were, and this was where the horse footings were.
Yeah, y'all
Over
fix
in
that.
back. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why the deposit thing came up in the
Y'all,
first place.
yeah, y'all fix that
May
already.
I ask a question? And I agree, we'll go with 15,000, but that, even at 15,000, that's not gonna settle the issue that they have in reference to having to rent the whole barn.
Yes, sir.
You're still gonna be paying, maybe not 500, but you're still gonna be paying more than you would if you rent each individual stall.
Yes, sir. And every place that I mentioned, including the state fairgrounds and all those arenas I mentioned, they lock the stalls up individually. That way, when somebody comes in, the county workers, they might
They
unlock
have to
20
open it
stalls,
for them.
right? But, and then whoever rents them just locks it onto the stall itself. and then you can use those stalls, but then we're not responsible for somebody coming in and throwing a horse in a stall overnight that we have to clean that we didn't use. So locking the stalls is everybody does that, with no exceptions.
On this price.
That keeps us.
It had for barn 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you don't use stalls, and it was showing $100.
That's an empty, I'm assuming what you're talking about is just,
Big
it's
empty
an
ones in
empty
that.
covered, because if it says no stalls, I don't know anybody who uses that.
Usually the cow people, they'll take the stall
Oh,
down.
yeah, the cow people, that's true.
So what I'd like to see is if we can go for the contract that we've been using for 2021 and 2022.
Well, that one
This
says you
one-
can use cash and everything.
Well, we can fix that.
So to answer your question, we can do that. We've got to get this contract.
But the one for 2021 and 2022 has the stall breakdown where we can do a whole barn, half a barn, quarter, or if you do
That
less
one
than that you can do it individually. But if we vote the 2020 that was brought into the November 7th meeting to bring up to vote, that will have us back to buying a whole barn again.
Gotcha.
And that's where we
So we
need to
need
watch
to work
this.
on that contract, but am I hearing y'all, and the rest of the board, I'm asking y'all, that for a full week rental for the full, 700 something acres will be 15,000?
Yes,
Y'all
but
good with that?
not the annex land. I mean, I guess we could.
But yeah, we gotta put it in there, it's considered a zone.
Nothing over there.
Yeah, it's
But we're having
considered-
4-H soon, and
Well,
we're
we
building
do
out a
have
4-H.
But it's already in there considered.
That's
a
fine.
zone.
Why don't we move to table until we can get it all worked out?
Well, that's why I
Okay.
put, we gotta get these prices.
Gotta set some parameters.
So 15
That we
grand
work
a
on
week.
with the contract, you
We
know.
go with
So the
that.
2021, 2022 is the contract we like, but we need to take out about the money of how they pay, of how they pay. We
Well,
need to
we
put
need
it
to
each
adjust.
check.
Each check.
But Mindy's right about the barns. That's the one that has the correct barn.
Because
she
like a
likes
small
that
show,
part
I will
in
be
there.
able to have,
So
that
you
one or
like
two
that part.
stalls.
So we like the 15,000.
And our jousters use 2 stalls.
Yeah. Say where you
But I
have
mean,
one.
we like the, so that'll cover that. We'll change it to 15,000. We'll change it to credit card or
E-check?
Each
Yes.
E-check.
what?
There might be a fee on the e-check, we have to find out from our bank, so that might be.
Well, it might be treated like a,
Which that's fine.
Might be treated just like a credit card
Right.
probably.
I just wouldn't have to get it.
Yeah.
it's a fee on a credit card.
Y'all would mind paying the fee on the e-check as well.
Yeah.
Can we use Venmo for something like this?
We're gonna have to come
I think the county can do.
Yeah, our association wouldn't even want to been, there's some old
Clarify what I
school.
think is a misunderstanding. I didn't realize where it was coming through until y'all discussed it. The only reason this lease is on the agenda is because we found out that it was being used and the board had never approved it.
That's right,
So we
yes.
asked that it be put on, the numbers in there have nothing to do with anything. It is a form. You can fill in the blanks. It wasn't a statement that you have to charge 25. Now, that's been the policy of the board, but it was just a form. It's not, each one of these leases are negotiable because but the board has to approve it if it's negotiated.
Well, then I have a question. How can the spreadsheet I've been keeping is different from what y'all put on my agenda today to approve? The numbers are different, so how do we say we're not changing? I guess that's my frustration.
The one we gave you.
I've never seen your
the one-
spreadsheet, so it
The
should
one that we gave
be
you,
shared with the board.
the one we gave
The way y'all
you,
been doing things, how would you not know?
that one, I don't know where the one that we gave you is the one that was approved on the minutes of the board. It's got
From
we even got the, order
From
approved.
2015.
That was what the board adopted way back when. The lease, apparently, we had drafted a lease and it got changed somewhere along the line, never got approved by the board. So the way that got on the agenda is when we found out they were using a lease that was not, said send us a copy, get it approved on the board. I never looked at the amounts in there or anything.
Right, just
Really,
the lease
Just the
parameters.
lease, just a lease. And so the board has options, if it chooses, could say that somebody that's been doing business with Fairgrounds for 40 years or whatever it is, they may not have to put a deposit down. But the problem you're gonna run into there is people that then come in and have to put a deposit down, they're gonna be complaining somebody didn't get put down.
Yeah, you can't start good faith, because then you get favors.
I'm just following up on the comment about 40 years.
Let's boil it down to what I think their complaint is, that they're having to pay for a whole barn that they're not gonna use, probably never gonna use all the stalls in that barn. So what we need to come up with in the contract is a method in which they can pay for only the stalls that they use.
Right.
Yes.
Which from
And
what
y'all
I'm
have no
understanding is in there,
objection to
right?
the,
The 20.
what's the deposit?
We've been paying 50, but the new contract, I believe, goes to 150 for deposit and cleanup on top of your
So 75 or 150.
The board can authorize
150.
that. on a-
So we need to come up with a method to just charge for the stalls actually being used.
Well, that's in the contract, that's what she's saying, that's
Yeah, the
already, we've
2021,
already addressed that.
2010, the one we've been
The
using.
one we've been using that undoubtedly y'all did not approve.
2020.
The one we've been using, you only pay for the stalls.
You can do a whole barn, half
Half
a barn,
barn, yeah.
quarter of
Quarter
a
barn,
barn, and then
Or
individual.
individual stalls.
It would be better to do individuals. I mean, but now, for big shows, paying a whole barn
Big
would be
shows,
great.
then
But
you
like,
can do it by
our
size.
little
That's why I
shows
think you need
individually
to-
is better.
There ain't no
Discuss
problem
it
with that
with
with the
them.
big shows. That was the complaint.
Yeah, that was the
That was
problem.
a complaint that there was
They weren't counting
all kind of
everything
issues
up.
with counting stalls. The director of the
Three people
fairground at that
counted,
time.
come up
Well,
with different answers.
like for our quarter horse show, we had to pay
Right,
for a
I
whole
understand.
barn. But the thing is, we don't use every stall in the barn because you can't use every stall in the barn. There's
Right.
beams in some stalls, some stalls got
Holes in
holes
the
where
walls.
horses eat.
That-
So we're paying for $500 for all these stalls, but we're not
You
There's-
using them.
there's
can't
nothing
possibly.
Yeah.
that prevents the board from authorizing those contracts to be modified to address those issues. It's-
So you
that's-
count the barns.
That's what I'm
The,
saying.
the zones were created as I recall, I don't know anything of the zones, were to make it uniform.
Greg.
But that
Yeah,
does not
that-
prevent, when you have a uniform, of modifying that to fit the circumstances you're dealing with. But the board has to approve it. That's why we have to spread them on the minutes. And so ultimately, you can grant authority to your director to modify the contract as needed to try to.
We can do that as long as the contracts come before the board.
That's correct. They have to come before the board. I'm not sure where
Because we
they.
If they
Got off.
book a year in advance, they certainly can come before the board.
And somebody that's been booking for a long time, that's gonna book 10 shows in a year, you may not require them to file for every one of those shows. That's up to the board. If that's okay, the board can do that.
Okay.
I guess the one thing that you have to watch out for is if you're leasing county property, you have to come up with some logical fair market value, which the board has done. There is the test.
15,000, right,
Yes.
that's our fair market.
Well,
It has for
And
anyone.
the 15,000 came about as a result of counting stalls, and it originally was counting stalls.
Yeah, but we,
And they went to a set amount so they wouldn't have to count.
Let me
That
tell
was
you
on a
something.
big show.
Talking about fair market value, when you look at what we're leasing those civic centers for, that's not fair market value.
Well,
So
Get away.
when you have people,
when I say fair market value, you can take into account benefit to tourism, benefit to the economy, all those
well, that
other
could be arguable.
residents
for
that
any
already
of us.
pay for the
My
facility.
point is that if we look, we seem to be concentrating on fair market value for the fairground,
Yeah.
but we seem to overlook that with the civic centers.
Yep.
but not really,
And
because
that's,
it's,
pardon?
we fixed that already, that's
But
what
we
we
haven't
fixed.
fixed the civic centers already
We
at
did
all.
fix it.
There's no fair market value for those civic centers. And I'm not arguing now to raise the price of those. We've been through that operation. I'm not arguing for that right now. But I'm simply saying that we have people, same citizens using all that, to make sure that they at least accommodate them on what they're talking about with the stalls.
But we're doing that.
Yeah.
But she just said, that is in there.
But what they're concerned about is we're fixing to change it.
No, we're not, that was in the change.
I'm concerned about the contract that was brought up in November 7th, the 2020 contract.
That's
That one will
what I'm
have us
talking about.
booking the whole barn.
That's right.
The one we're using, so the one that I've used for 2022 is the one that has the barns broken down.
That's broken
That's
So
the
what we
one that
need to
worked
do is
for a
simply
lot
come
of
up with a method of allowing them to pay for simply the stalls that they're gonna use.
It's in there, it's in there, it's what you said, it's about.
Yeah, it says that on there. It's got
I think this
it.
is important too, y'all. Mr. Terry he paid $900 in 2018, $900 in 2019, he canceled 2021, and he paid $2,500 in 2022. So he's got for renting the facility. So, and this is, he's his cost.
But that minus Normally they charge,
Same lane.
25 a day per vendor.
Okay.
So, and
So you
that's
had more
on
vendors?
top of that.
Well, that's good.
There again, we had 2 cancel. One of them had a heart issue on the road, literally headed our way. And the other one had a family issue, so that count would have been reduced. That's the problem with paying these contracts up front. Just like they're talking about barns, I'm talking about, vendor fees.
But we said
And all that
it's
other,
not really
asking for the
upfront,
entire
it's on the day
2,500
of.
up front, as opposed to a deposit, and then pay the remainder either 30 days out or the day of the event, whatever, but trying to lock that money up for a little 50 or 501c3.
Yes, that's what we are too.
Let me ask you, in your particular function, what you do at the fairgrounds, at what point do you actually know what you need prior to the actual opening up and the performance that day?
History.
For example, is it a week before that you know exactly what you're gonna need at the fairground?
Oh, no. When I start bringing vendors in from 15 states away, I need spaces for them, and how many, this planning goes on for 9 months before.
What I'm
the-
asking you, let's say you got a day that you're gonna open up and use the facility, that day. How many days prior to that day that you actually know what you're gonna use and need? Or you don't know until the event is over?
Short of a lightning strike or a flat tire, probably 2 weeks.
2 weeks prior to the actual event, you
Yes.
know what you need.
I am still negotiating with not some contractor, we would call merchant vendors, food vendors, artisans, and all sorts, blacksmith, whatever. I'm still negotiating 2 weeks out. Sometimes we don't have events. We try to bring plans in. Their schedules are very
What I'm trying to do
different.
is establish something that would be fair, in which the county would say, you pay on this day, a week prior to the event.
A week prior.
A week prior to the event, fairgrounds wants their money for that activity.
For, at the community.
No problem, but I want
center, 30 days.
It's a 14-day, isn't it?
30 days
30
on community
days
centers.
for the community centers.
For the-
Or either 2
I think it's just.
I think it's a 14-day.
I don't think it's fair to compare us to community centers.
I'm
That's
not
a little
comparing you,
No,
I'm
I'm talking about
asking
That's what you
you.
have
No,
to
no, I'm
pay.
talking about Pam was.
That's when you have to
No,
pay
he
it.
was comparing.
You're not on the day you're saying that y'all are having to pay everything up front. You're not having to pay everything. up
Okay,
front.
then, you went for the record, what elements of the expenses are due at the time of the contract signing?
I don't know what y'all's contracted 21, 22, so I haven't.
So the
seen
21,
that.
22, we just paid your $50 deposit.
Deposit. So you're not even paying the clean.
So you're not even paying, okay, so you're just paying the deposit.
Deposit. And then, but if you go to the 2021, it'll have us paying everything, stalls, hookups,
See, the
RVs,
stock,
arenas,
in the
everything.
previous one, you pay your,
Yeah, they got
like, even
changed,
like
'cause
community centers, you pay the deposit up front and a cleaning fee.
That's what she
Then you
said.
have either 14 days or 30 days, I have to go back and look,
Yeah,
where you
I'm
have to pay the final pay. And then when you, but then on the stalls and all that, you have 2 weeks after.
You can't pay that
The
till after
event
you
to
know.
finish, to finalize
We
that.
don't know until the event.
We won't know until after the event for your.
Yeah.
for the-
So 2 weeks out, y'all cool with that?
So.
Just
y'all
to
go
pay
to-
for your deposit and I
Yeah.
guess at the
Yeah.
contract
Yes.
signing.
Well, you pay, yeah.
As
you
long as
hold
we
your
can put
thing,
our
you pay your
dates.
deposit to hold it.
I have a question, sorry if this is, I should know this, but would the 15,000 include the whole thing, including RVs and vendors and concessions?
No.
So it's not the whole thing?
It's the building.
It's the facility.
It's everything but, except the RV, should we specify that? Well, it's already in
Yeah, it's
there?
already in there.
Okay.
It should be.
You're talking about a weekly rental for 15?
Yes, every,
Yeah.
It has included for Winter Classic, because that's the only one, and the biker group was the only one before that you had a full
That does it
weekly
for a
rental
week.
on. Those were all inclusive.
So RV is included?
And the stalls.
Yeah.
There were occasions where they were asked to have run overs either before or after,
Okay.
and they were counted.
So the 15,000 for anyone would include RVs and vendors?
Yes, so that 280 she was
concession.
On top of those
not
add-ons,
right.
that couldn't possibly be, because those are all-inclusive rates.
25 to 50,000 is for the entire
What
facility.
Janet was paying for the 15,000 is all inclusive, so it would not go up for 2.
Okay,
Tricia
that's,
just said.
y'all been very kind about listening and mediating with us, I really
Because we want you
appreciate
to
it.
use it.
I want, my last thing that I wanted to go over is just some conditions at the fairgrounds that we really need to get fixed for us to use, and the fans have been
We've ordered
running for
those.
2 years.
We've ordered those,
2 years,
the
that
fans.
was horrible. And y'all, they got the Wi-Fi fixed, right?
Well,
Y'all voted on the
Not
Wi-Fi.
yet. We're
But
ready.
they're in talks of that might be coming.
And we also talked about not having an audio system at all, like if you even had a lost child, we're back in the 60s, so we
Yes.
put in our budget for the
That's-
audio system as
Yeah,
well.
we need that really bad, but we have showed up for any.
Can I do a codicil on that audio system? Can it be zoned? So if
Oh, I
I'm
don't know.
talking to the north, I don't need to yell the same thing
All
to
it
the
is, like,
south?
in the barn, if you're using the barns and you say,
Good
hey, the
estimates.
next event is so-and-so.
I'm sure,
It just
I'm-
goes out to that barn.
What I saw was about $500,000, I'm sure it would allow you to have certain buttons for certain zones.
We've had
Yeah, that's what you
issues,
assume.
we've had issues in the past where we showed up to have our horse show twice and the microphone wasn't there. We couldn't
Look,
start until they brought the equipment to the facility for us to start our show, and that
Where was the equipment?
The director had it, and he brought
The
it.
equipment was packed away in a trailer because depending on the event that we have, the microphone has to move to different places in the fairground. So whenever, like say, for example, when the Crew of 4 Sports comes, they use all the arenas in the back. So we have to move all the audio equipment to the back. Then once they're done, we bring it back to the front.
Greg, now you knew they were
Yeah, the microphone.
Might need more microphones
Dug that
and
out the
equipment.
box to get it to
Huh?
him. I said if Greg knew y'all were coming, he could have dug it out the box.
Well,
to get it
we
to
were
him.
on the schedule a long time before we.
Shouldn't it just stay at the
But somebody might
fairgrounds?
still,
Yes.
yeah.
It stays at the fairground, it just goes
In
to
a
different
box.
places in
Different
the
locations
fairground.
on the fairground, so
Goes to
there's only
different
like a
locations.
couple mics, but when you
So
want
maybe
mic.
on your
For the new
check
system.
list.
The new system will solve all of that. I promise with technology, you'll have new mics, you'll have lavaliers, you'll have zone, directional,
Okay, so
We're living in
I
the
think that
60s.
we
We're in good
addressed.
shape.
Do y'all have anything else?
Thank you.
Yes.
We
That is
appreciate y'all listening.
Thank
The
you.
roads. I had some off patch done before our games. When's the last time the roads, especially what I call the crossroads, the one that comes off of the arena headed west,
Okay.
and the crossroad that goes from the barn area, their storage facility, out to the horse wash.
Timmy, he's saying the
That's
roads are
getting
paving
all
out
beat to pieces.
there. The last time the roads were paved at the fairgrounds.
Okay, I got one more thing, guys.
We'll look into that, thank you.
This is really important, so the John Clark Road is where everybody goes and rides. A lot of people like it, it's great ground, so it's people there every single night, unless it's rain, because it's outside. When that facility was built, we had a set of bleachers that were bought for the facility and put on a concrete pad. Now we have nothing. There isn't a bench, there isn't anything. The bleachers that were bought for the facility are pushed up in the woods on the back of the fairgrounds.
Oh, Lord.
Well, that sounds like a Greg issue. Greg.
They
why
are
the
pushed
bleachers
in the
up
woods. The woods are literally overtaking this aluminum set of bleachers that
That
the
don't
county
seem
bought.
good for his animal observation.
Yes, sir, you can see,
Wow,
you can
that
hunt
was-
back there, I guess.
Why would
But
they
it's-
be in the woods?
Those bleachers were destroyed in the last hurricane, so we're in the process of getting some.
They're not destroyed, they are not destroyed, y'all can see from the picture. I would ask, if you think that they're destroyed, I would ask every member on that board, go look at them.
They're unsafe to have individuals in occupation. I believe it'll be a liability. That's
And
the reason
then,
why
in
we-
that case, they should have been fixed when that happened. We have nothing to sit on, but those are expensive bleachers. They have a crack on one side, that's aluminum. And then the ramps, and there's ramps that go to them and stairs. But there's no reason for those expensive bleachers to be pushed into the woods. And then us have not one place for our families to sit, not a bench, not anything at that facility.
Those damages to those bleachers happened during the hurricane. The hurricane completely flipped those bleachers over. Now, we can provide some more bleachers for the John Clark Arena. That would be no problem. We do have some that we'll put out there. I can call right now. We'll have some 30 minutes.
I would ask that y'all go look at them.
Somebody
I've seen it.
that's qualified to make a decision on whether they're safe or not needs to go out there and look at that.
That's exactly what I was gonna
That'd be
say.
good.
And then we'll look into the roads
And then
we'll
just
get
like
together.
water racks, you
go a
know, with just
step
hoses,
further.
we need hoses to wash the horses on. It's 10-foot section of hose. They're all broke, they're all leaking, you get wetter than the horse. Just little bitty things like that, that's cheap, but we need to address.
Water hoses?
Yes, sir, water hose, we have wash racks at both facilities. Every water hose is broken, cracked, or absolutely stepped on, and they're only, now I've heard the county director say, people will steal them. Nobody needs a 10-foot water hose. Nobody, other than washing your horse. You're not talking about putting a 30-foot hose out there. We're talking about a section of hose that goes up over the wash rack and you wash your horse. That's 10 feet. Nobody wants that. Nobody's gonna steal that. We just need them functioning because when we ride in the summer, those horses are soaked with sweat. We have to be able to wash them off. And that's just an easy fix that I'd like you guys to address.
Greg, are the water hoses, they can't be that
This
expensive.
is my first time hearing about water.
I was gonna say,
But you don't.
this was never brought to our attention.
You just walk around, and that's what management does.
They're just busted, like, they're gonna hold
That's
on.
no problem, we're about to sue today.
Let me ask,
I don't know, but he's there, that's the job of the director, is to manage the facilities.
let me ask Mr. Bobby, who inspects your playground equipment?
Me?
Okay, will you go out there and look at those bleachers? Cause to me, it's kinda the same thing, see if they're safe.
I don't know if Bobby would be the person
Well, one
qualified
of
to
the
do that,
safety,
or you
Renee
have to.
Williams would do it.
Safety officer.
I mean, we inspect ours.
They inspect the airs at the ball
Well,
fields.
maybe you can then.
But I mean, don't y'all have them at the ball fields? You got somebody that inspects?
I've inspected those bleachers, they're not in shape.
Yeah, but I'd just like to get a second
Yes,
opinion.
ma'am.
Sure,
That's
as
all.
long as we're looking at the
Don't-
bleachers, I wonder if they could look around for a portable stage like Long Beach has and like Pass Christian has.
Portable stage?
They ain't got no portable.
No.
They don't have any portable
use
stage.
ours.
They borrowed the one from the county.
Now, I'm gonna tell you why, Joe.
But we don't loan it
Talking
to
about portable stage.
individual event.
Can we
It can only go through interlocal.
Right, can we get that then to the fairground?
No, I just said that.
Oh, it's a city thing?
It's through an interlocal agreement to the other cities.
They're using our stage.
The
is
city
what she's
borrows
telling
it.
me. They're
He's
borrowing
saying,
it
can you
out.
make it where we could rent that he could rent it?
No, we don't rent it out because then we're in competition with ABC Rental. There's plenty of stages you can rent.
Oh, no, yeah, little
Plenty of
bitty
other
ones. I'm
places
talking
to
about
rent.
that aluminum fold out, pop out.
That's what I'm talking about. ABC Reynolds got them,
Okay,
Miller,
'cause I get all the
Ron
tents.
Johnson's got them over.
Okay, got it.
There's
It's
plenty
not
of
a
places
compete
to
issue.
rent. We just don't wanna compete.
And we're asking him. Okay.
But let me go back. So, Mr. Bobby, can you send your bleach person that looks at bleachers
Yeah, I can.
to go look at them and see if they're fixable?
I'll tell you somebody else in the county that's really good at that is Carolyn White.
Carolyn and Renee, well, we'll send them.
I
'cause
mean,
they
but I'd
can-
be glad to go look at them, Joe, Greg.
Okay.
Reiterate our big points.
All right, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And the deposit, that's the only open issues. Decide on those.
Thank y'all.
Okay, next up, going to item 17. Order approving first reading of the Harrison County Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. Motion?
All right, motion.
Second.
Second.
What's the
Discussion?
difference in what's the changes? Don't go into a lot, just is there any significant changes that might be?
There's no significant changes. This is our regular 5-year
Right,
update.
just kind of going.
Yes, sir.
Changing the dates, names that people had left and come.
Correct.
All right, thank you. All right, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carried. 18, order approving change order number P352005 to the contract for the IP/MPLS microwave system maintenance replacement project with Communication International, Inc., as recommended by the Harrison County Emergency Communication Commission at the meeting of November 15, 2022.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion. Matt?
Yes, sir. So this change order, there's no cost involved. This just allows a little extra time for us to resolve some technical issues. We had an unlicensed transmitter who was interfering with one of the microwave connections, so we've had to adjust some of the equipment. We need a little more time to finish up the project.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving travel and encounter vehicle for Pat Sullivan and Donald Antonio Fire Services to attend the following classes in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the low quote purchase of 3 sets of hydraulic tools for forceful entry from emergency vehicle specialists in an amount of $67,122. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the low quote purchase of 2 18 battery powered ram fans with 2 40-volt battery packs from NAFECO in the amount of $9,900, $49.50 each. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Mr. President, going back to 20, I read those quotes, and the 2 little quotes don't add up to $67,172. Did I miss something? Pat? Isn't that yours?
Which one are you talking about, sir?
I'm talking about, I'm sorry.
The cutters.
The cutters, the hydraulic tubes, and it doesn't add up to 67,000. If you add you got 2 quotes in there. One for something and then something
47,
else.
one for 17.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, I don't have the backup. I'd have to look at that. If you want to table that, we can do that, but I don't have that paperwork.
Did y'all notice that?
Hang on, I'm adding it.
Those 2 quotes didn't add up to 67,000. If you look at those. Check it out.
Yes, sir.
I don't mind proving them if there's an issue.
One is 41,
You got it, Tim?
Yeah, just quickly, look at it, looks like
and the
we're
other
looking at
is
the 2 by the same one.
1777.
The two, two low quotes up.
Well, there's 4 of them, looks like, actually.
There's 2.
But there's
Yes, the one,
4 quotes for 2 companies.
I can't tell which one they're adding together.
I don't know, maybe I need to put the batteries in my calculator. I might have just calculated it wrong. I don't.
You have the calculator on your phone.
Here, I got it, right here.
Technology.
Nothing gets by you.
Did you know you can email on it too?
Yeah, but I don't know which one these adding together is the problem.
Well, I would assume you add the 2 low quotes
77
together.
and 41.
And if you add the 2 low quotes together, it doesn't come out to 67,000. It comes out to something like 50-something thousand. Did you
Mark.
know?
We might have bought, that's why I said that may not work, we might have bought 2 low quotes from the same company, but I don't need a low quote.
That's what I'm doing. I'm adding those 2 others, and they don't come to
So you got 2 quotes by
67,000.
EVS and 2 quotes by Homato.
Right.
You're adding the lowest of EVS and the lowest of Homato.
No, I'm adding because the same company has the 2 low quotes. The
Oh,
same,
did you? I
the
don't
same
know. I'm just
company
guessing. I didn't
has
get
the
it.
2 low quotes, and if you add those 2 low quotes up, you don't get the same amount. That's just something I know.
Yes, sir. And I understand, I just don't have that information, so I'll get back to you, absolutely. If we need to, absolutely, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
According to me, it comes to 59,000.
59,000. That's what it is.
59,532.
Yes. And we're approving 67,172.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
So it could have just been a mistake on the agenda.
Yeah, mistaken arithmetic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. that
But
The
it's way
agenda
off.
amount is wrong as far as the 2 quotes go.
Yes, sir. I just, once again, I don't.
It might not be you, it could just be the verbiage who added it up.
Let's just make the motion that we, and I think that's what it says, approving the low quotes purchase and leave out the 67,172.
Second.
Second.
Yes, if that, whatever works for y'all is good for us.
All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We also have a motion for
I
item
think you
21.
already did the other one.
No, we didn't vote on
21.
We didn't vote on it.
22.
We got the motion and a second.
On 21.
21. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 22, consider approving the amended rental agreement for county facilities, including rental for concessions.
We need to table.
No,
I
this
do.
is Parks and
This
Rec.
is the county.
This is
facility.
Parks and
County
Rec.
facility.
Yeah, this is,
Parks and Rec?
Yeah,
Right.
that's all right.
Motion.
Motion. Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving change of one operator two to mechanic position and approving job description and salaries for Parks and Recreation Department.
Did we already do
Should we do all the orders?
Motion? Motion, second for discussion?
Motion,
Second.
23.
23. Second.
Second.
All right, discussion.
Wait.
Are we, we're on 23.
Second.
no, 25.
25?
Yeah, we already did the hearing.
Then we vote.
Did we vote on 23?
We didn't vote on 23.
Yeah, we didn't do
Let's
23
vote
yet.
on the mechanic.
23, yeah. You just made a motion.
We got the discussion, that's why I was aiming for someone want to make a comment on it, no discussion.
Yeah, somebody asked.
Right. So, okay, is there any, okay, we got a motion and a second for item 23. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Moving on down to 25. Okay.
All right, we'd like to hear items 25 through 29 as the regular cases before the planning commission. We'd like you to concur with the planning commission's recommendation to
Okay, did you get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 30. Order taken off the table, class file number 22, 10HC 173 for the zoning map amendment and conditional use permit filed by Frank Willem, Blocks Building LLC for the People's Bank requesting approval to change the zoning district classification of a 31.1 acre parcel of land. The property is currently zoned as R1 low density residential and A1 general agricultural district. The request is to change the zoning district classification for lots A, B, and D to C2 general commercial and lot C to the I1 light and L1 light industrial district for the purpose of subdividing property to allow for manufacturing and retail sales of container-based modular homes as shown on the site plan. Manufacturing incidental to these retail businesses in the C2 district requires a conditional use permit from the planning commission. The subject is property located at XXX Highway 49, envelope text outlet number 070508 02001.
Motion.
Is this Kellogg?
Yes. This is
Second.
taken off the table.
This was tabled.
I made a motion to take it off the
Take it
table.
off the table.
Second.
Okay. Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
I did not make this agenda, but there's not the next item does not show approving it. I don't know what
Right,
y'all-
so-
Okay,
So
so
that's missing, but just to let y'all know.
since we've taken it off the table, we'd like to add conditions to this. And I am concerned about the light industry too.
What?
Okay, so this is the, this is Kellogg, correct? Kellogg and 49?
Kellogg, yes.
Yeah, this is the man that's gonna take the containers and turn them into, homes and camps. So, Tim, our conditions were, we had Tim Smith, we had some concerns about the roads. We had Tim that went out to the roads and that Tim Smith. Tim, you wanna give us a report on that?
Yes, ma'am. I went out there, looked at the site, the man's property. What we will require from him, if y'all approve it, is for him to put up a $25,000 bond, which covers trucks coming in and out. Also, through my office, require him to get a permit.
I thought it was a 250,000 for the, is that,
I've never heard of them out.
never heard, because if he has to repave the road at all,
Correct, and that
then it would be about 250,000, and that's a $25,000 bond?
Be $14,500, and plus cost of labor, so that'd be require $25,000 bond.
Okay, I think we had discussed
And
that.
that makes them responsible for any damage on the.
Correct.
Well, I do recommend,
Wait.
and I sent this to Virgil last week, and didn't respond to me yet, but, I would recommend that, because this is I think it's an LLC, that we ought to require personal guarantees of the owners.
Okay.
Because
Do we always do
it's
that?
just like the one we just had earlier, the LLC's gone belly up. Not much you can do to chase them, so owner can put up a personal guarantee on the road also,
Okay.
which would not be limited to the bond. The bond is merely a method of
When
security.
have we ever done that?
We hadn't done it, but we've had
Ever,
problems.
so we're
We've
gonna
had
start
problems
with this.
because we
But-
didn't.
But not
No,
because of this one, it's just because of
Yeah.
LLC, not,
because it's.
we have done it before, but not often. I mean, the problem is, it's just like the one we just dealt with earlier, where the LLC's gone. You know, it takes about $25 to create an LLC, which has no assets other than the property involved. And so, it's up to the board, you don't have to require it, but if you want to be able to go and have some teeth. We had another one a few months back, if you remember, what subdivision was that, Jackie? We met with them here.
Walker Farm.
No, Savoy, that was me, Savoy Place.
And their position was that we had to go after the bond, we couldn't go after them. We said, no, you're not gonna be building another house in Harrison County if you act that way, so I think they resolved it, didn't they?
I don't know if it's 100%, but they've definitely done a lot toward it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but to be fair, we would have to do it from this day forward for everyone.
Yeah.
It's something
And I
y'all
think
wanna
we
think
should.
about, yeah.
Thinking.
And I think we
I don't
should.
know.
Every time I go to the bank, they make me sign a personal guarantee.
That's right. And
About 20 of them.
it's not the first time it's happened either. We've also had everything from trees mowed down that shouldn't be mowed down, that we have no recourse on, that sort of thing. So I've been 100% favor of that. Do you have a problem with that? He's here, I believe.
Frank?
Which part, I'm sorry, Connie?
If the conditional use, a personal, hold company personally liable for any
It's not what a
damages.
personal guarantee's holding Frank.
Personal guarantee.
Personal guarantee on doing the road properly.
Yeah, I mean, other than, as you said, no one's been held to that standard before, and the bond, by Tim's suggestion, would more than cover the expenses. Is that really necessary in this case?
And if it does, then there's no problem with it. But if
But-
the bond covers it, but if it goes above that, just like the one we just talked about earlier that had that LLC on it, you know, find that LLC doesn't own anything.
That's right.
Well, I understand that, and I guess at this point, we don't have a lot of leverage, we need to proceed with this, so yes, I'll agree to that.
Thank you. Okay. So that also be added into it as well.
What are we adding
And
into?
some landscaping.
We got nothing to add
Conditional.
into.
You're-
You gotta make a motion first.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion
We just talked.
that we approve, this LLC, and, that we put conditions on it, and the conditions will be to, have a $25,000 bond, and then a personal guarantee that any damages done to the road will be, repaired.
To the county's satisfaction.
Yes.
Well, people draft something. Give me a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries.
And you're a trailblazer, so make a good example for us.
I actually saw a program on TV the other night where they were doing the exact same thing. It was really, really neat. Neat little project with these containers. You can build a pretty nice house with them too.
Look forward to it. I look forward to seeing it.
Might show up there once we get it over.
Okay, thanks. We'll have a ribbon cut.
Order concurring with the county administrator on employment as listed on file with the payroll clerk and personnel, human resource department.
Motion.
Second, discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, Motion carries. Order approving payment of claim listed. Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order designating any board or supervisor, the purchase clerk, chancery clerk, or any department head as needed as the board's representatives to receive specification for a reverse auction bid. Harrison County Sheriff's Office Marine Patrol boat purchase on the specification open date of Thursday, January 5th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 34 is recognized sheriff.
Good morning. Total, we have 777, 28 misdemeanors, 106 females, 94 that include state arrest, and 37 federal inmates.
Okay. Thanks, Sheriff. Order approving the renewal of the Lexus contract for a term of 2 years beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2024 in the amount of $1,245 per month, payable from 115-207-581 for law library services for Harrison County Jail facilities, and authorizing the board president to execute the same. Motion. Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving mileage reimbursement for in-county travel for the following employees. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing disposal of assets per attached list and authorizing the inventory clerk to remove the same from inventory. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing disposal of assets per attached list and authorize the inventory clerk to remove the same from inventory.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order acknowledging the October travel card payable in amount of $1,404.76 for various accounts. Motion.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing the reimbursement of the road fund 150-000-360 in amount of $44.49 payable from 001-453-542 for repairs performed on senior services vehicle. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing reimbursement to the road fund 150-000-360 with detail attached from the following.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing interfund loans and repayments per the attached schedule.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing reimbursement to the general fund 001-200-542 in the total amount of $365.04 payable from as follows: 8824 payable from 106-250-542 and 27680 payable from 106-250-680. Motion. Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving payments of claims listed. Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Order approving the total payment of $12,000 payable from 001-457-751 to Ocean Behavioral Hospital of Biloxi. Motion.
Second. Discussion. Yeah, I noticed the date that the person was admitted was in July, and I think that was before all the beds were open at the CSU. Do you have any, Pam? Do you?
They didn't reopen those till,
What? I think it was out subsequent to the July when this patient was there. I just want to make sure that I want to keep up. Once we have the 16 beds, we shouldn't be having to pay. If we're going to have to pay with 16 beds to a private, we need to start charging Pine Belt for it.
Yeah.
or reducing our payment to them. Now, that's my-
I agree,
You wanna know if that's more? Yeah, what we're paying here is, was done before they opened
We had
16
12
days
beds.
up. That was in, the date that they admitted the patient was in July, I believe.
But keep in mind, there could be other issues, violence, they won't take somebody that's violent, it could be drugs.
Then I think we need to start looking at all of that and start talking about maybe reducing our contributions. Something's wrong. We never had that problem before.
We don't, on a daily basis, we don't
I actually
hardly ever have
recommend you table
16
this
there.
because we don't know, there was a 7-day limit without getting another court order extending it. This is,
How many days? I missed
it's
that.
like 12 plus 3, so it's 15 days.
So we don't know if we got another court order extending that. I missed that part. Maybe we need to
So
table.
just table it, we'll find out.
Motion to table.
They're
Second.
doing awfully late.
Yeah.
November to
That was in
August.
July.
July and August.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 46, order taken off the table approving the rental agreement for the use of the Harrison County Fairgrounds.
I moved to table again until we work out the
Yeah.
details necessary for,
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor of the motion, table, say aye.
for their
All
satisfaction.
opposed? Motion carries.
I
47.
do apologize.
Same
because
thing.
Apparently, when we found out there was a lease that wasn't the one the board approved, we're the ones that put it on, asked for it to be put on the agenda to be approved, and that apparently caused everybody to think the county was going up on rent.
That's when my phone started blowing up
I
and
had no
everyone got up
idea
in
that-
arms.
Yeah, and I kept saying that we haven't.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I got
That
called
was
from
some
Amazon,
lies.
they raising rent.
We did.
So we just put it on there to be approved, because it needs to be approved by the board, but we didn't realize that was,
But the 2021 was, yeah,
it just wasn't,
things that,
it had stuff in it that we didn't know.
Okay,
So
47.
we apologize for getting, we made that mistake.
Same thing.
But
motion
we
to
didn't know
table
that it was-
47.
We didn't know there was an issue with it either. So
Gotcha.
Okay.
It was just to approve it, because it needs to be approved. So we'll fix it, take it.
Second on 47.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Consider transaction number 1069, page 89 of 11/7/2022 claims docket, the same being Sparklight, in the amount of $232.81.
Motion.
Second.
Second discussion, is that the one on Swan Road, Pam?
Yes, sir, this is the question that you had.
Good enough.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing 65% down payment in the amount of $737.75 due upon receipt of purchase order to Megatronic Security, Inc. for security door entry system at the Harrison County Road Manager's Office payable from 153/100/641.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
I'll just tell you for information purposes, guy went there to work on that, darn if he was there at work. He left and stopped working again.
Of course.
That's at the Long Beach one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It worked while he was there. They said there's a spook there or something, you know?
Order authorizing 65% down payment in the amount of $91 due upon receipt of purchase order to Megatronic Security, Inc. for doorbell unit in the security door system for Long Beach Work Center.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing the board president to execute the cancellation forms to Guardian Life Insurance Company and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the agreement by and between Harrison County Board of Supervisors and Mississippi Select Healthcare LLC, DBA Select Administrative Services for employee insurance, health insurance effective January 1st, 2023. And authorizing the board president to execute all necessary documents.
Motion.
Second discussion, I got a letter from them, and we haven't signed this agreement yet?
This agreement right here. You're signing
Yeah, I
it.
got a letter 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, me too. Spread on the minutes.
So they wanted it back today, so I don't feel bad.
Yeah, I got that.
They're not getting it back today.
In that agreement, it speaks of the plan administrator, that's the county.
The plan administrator, no, that's Cadence or.
Frank.
That's Frankie,
SAS.
okay, that's the, okay,
SAS.
which is our agent.
And also, after y'all vote on that one, we need to set up an account, because they'll be paying out the claims.
Because they were, I read it and I wasn't sure exactly on some of these issues, so.
That's one more.
SAS is gonna be the third-party administrator to process the claim payments.
Right, they do.
But Cadence, who used to be Stewart's DTU's Bancorp South, is still the broker.
We still pay them a fee, an annual fee.
And that's the admin fee that we pay them.
But there will be, I think, a small admin fee paid to SAS for processing claims.
Well, that's that way I read it in there, $25 per our employee.
Gee.
That's what it,
Per claim.
Per claim paid on each employee.
no, it sounded, that's what I'm saying. Look at that, because under, C, the agreement, it said $25, their fee would be $25 per employee.
Per month?
That's what I understand, per month.
For the ones that make a claim, or just for everybody?
No, that's just the employees.
It's sort of-
That's probably just the employees
That's-
covered.
The ones
They have
covered.
health
Wow.
insurance.
You're talking about only the $25 is for example, if I go, and I have a claim, I understood there's $25 per month for the total number of employees in the plan.
I'm not sure.
I
I would have to
just
go
think-
back and look at that.
I'm not
contract.
sure.
Check that out.
Look at that. Y'all need to look at that, because I was interested in how much they were charging us, and I thought it would be some fee based on the payment of the claim.
But they're not charging for dental, Cobra, network.
No, they're not.
Admin,
That's right.
$25 per employee per month.
That's what it says.
I'm assuming it's per employee that's insured, but that is what it says.
Well, yeah, 20
For me, that's
per employee insured, which is all,
What is Cadence charging?
not per.
They charge $8,000, they charge $8,000 a month.
How much?
8,000.
8,000 a month.
If you multiply 25 by that, is that basically what you get?
So if we have 800 employees covered under health insurance a month, and we're paying $25 each employee, that's about $20,000 a month.
And they're
So you better
charging
look
us
at-
eight.
Look, read,
So I bet it's the same.
yeah, we might need to read that. make
Well,
sure.
what we pay Cadence, that $8,000 a month for Cadence is a different service.
Yeah.
Because when we had the consultant come in, the last time we were self-insured, one of the consultant's recommendation is that we don't have the same TPA and broker.
That's right.
That's why we ended up, the county
We had to
chose to go
separate 'em,
with
'cause that
We
was
paying
the
him,
problem.
Cadence
we
to be
paying
the
him
broker.
So we do need to pay them separate.
That's why I asked you who the county administrator, because it has, the claims and the administrator.
The broker and administrator need to be separate.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
That's the 8,000.
So when Brett Bird comes as the broker, and they give the update on the various benefit policies, whether it's health, dental, or vision, that's the function of the broker.
You using the term broker, in that lease agreement, there's a term county
It's an
administrator.
administrator, there's an administrator.
Is that the same thing?
No.
Well, who's the county administrator?
They are SAS.
They're
doing the claims,
they're
they're
the-
filing the claims and paying the claims.
They're the administrator under the self-insured program. They will be, and that's why we need to set up the separate bank account and through the agreement, give them access, because they will send a report each week or monthly of the claims to be paid. Someone at the county, most likely Pam or HR or whomever, will sign off authorizing payment of those claims, and then they'll process those payments through that bank account.
Okay.
And then give us a monthly report. So they'll still give us a report of who's covered each month, and I'll take that report and reconcile it to what's been withheld and paid out of
But
payroll.
that fee, you need to look at that, because it says $25 per employee per month.
And I can't recall what Brett presented to the board about that. I don't
You got
remember.
10 doctors like everybody gets assigned to. Can't have one doctor anymore.
But I mean, that's gonna be their administrative fee for processing the
That's what I'm
claims.
saying.
and-
$25 per employee. per
Well, they're
month.
gonna get a fee. I don't know if that's exactly, I cannot
that's what it
recall
said.
what Brett said.
Check the lease, the agreement, because that's what it says in there.
All right, good. Did we vote on that? Really?
No,
No.
are y'all gonna include to authorize the setup of the bank account in that
And
order?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Just vote on it.
okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Order approving agreement by and between Harrison County Board of Supervisors and Mississippi Select Health LLC DBA Select Administrators.
53.
Yeah, 53, okay. Order approving travel for any supervisor, county administrator, road manager, county engineer, board attorney, and comptroller to attend the Mississippi Association of Supervisors 2022 Winter Legislative Conference in Flowood. Motion. Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing and approving the repair and resurfacing of Three Rivers Road in the city of Biloxi as per the terms of the interlocal agreement, government cooperation agreement between the city and the county. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving of the waiver of rental fees for the use of the buoy senior center by the Mississippi Gulf Coast Pickleball Organization. Motion.
Motion.
A second discussion, just clarification on this. Exactly. We're simply allowing them to use the facility on Saturday. That's basically what we're doing.
Yes, you'd already approved use during the week, and you added Saturday.
Yeah,
we
we
giving them the
added Saturday.
exclusive
Well, I want to make sure that this is under the auspices of our senior citizen program, and that no one is excluded, whether they're a member of the, what is it?
Gulf Coast
Gulf Coast
Pickleball
Pickleball Organization or not.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's my, you see, we can't
It's not
approve
written
it.
that way, because I have no idea if they're part of the senior program or if it's a separate club. It just, the request that was sent was from the Mississippi Pickleball, whatever they call themselves, and we wrote it that way. So I don't know if it's exclusive or inclusive or exclusive.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is, we want to make sure it's not exclusive, that all senior citizens have a right to participate. And that's under Janet's,
And this, the Shirley Maxwell, it's under her
I know
program.
that, and we got the letter, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We got,
But
but they're
it
just
said-
asking to add Saturday.
Your request said pickleball, Mississippi Gulf Coast Pickleball Organization, Shirley. And that's why she's saying that she's on it. She wrote it up based on your letter with that information on it, you see. So I want to make sure.
I am part of Mississippi Gulf Coast Pickleball Association. We're nonprofit charity, but that has nothing to do with La Bowie. I went into La Bowie 6.5 years ago to create pickleball for seniors only. We are the only senior pickleball program on the coast. I went in July of 2016 with 10, 15 people. I now send my email out to 128.
Yeah, just want to make sure what we're saying, Janet, is that
Yeah.
it's not,
And this is
it's
the
not exclusive,
fastest
it's
growing
inclusive of all.
sport.
Yeah,
all
if somebody wants to
seniors.
go up there on a Saturday and play,
Yeah, and she
they don't have
has
to
a
be a
key.
member of this organization to do it.
That's the, that's what I
Right.
thought.
Correct.
Yeah.
What I thought.
Yeah, I have a lot of employees that are still 55 and above that still work. And they play one day a week. They have no place to play on weekends when they are off.
We're gonna let you do it.
Yeah,
Sure.
we're
Yeah,
gonna
don't let you
let
go.
you.
That's not an issue whether y'all can use it on Saturday. That's not the issue. I just want to make sure, based on what we're approving in that agreement, that y'all submitted that it's not exclusive just to members of the Gulf Coast Pickleball Organization.
No, it's open to
I don't, I'm
anyone
not a
as long
member
as
of
they're
that.
55.
And being 55 years old as I am, I want to be able to go down on Saturday and play without somebody telling me, you're not a member of the association. See
No,
what
you
I'm
don't have to
saying?
be a member, as long as you're 55 and older, come in, we'll teach you,
Well, I
you
just,
can play.
just barely make it.
You can do it.
By the way, too, on the mechanics of opening that facility, we're gonna open it and they're responsible for seeing that it's locked?
Are they gonna, I thought we were gonna give the, since it's that group, that
I
they're
don't
gonna get
know.
a key.
I don't, yeah, I just wanna make sure
So
that
we
we
don't have
got
to
that.
send somebody.
I have been locking the building up for the last 6.5
So,
years
yeah.
with no lock.
Good.
It locks on
Yeah, no complaints, I'm just making sure that we understand what we.
I just wanna make sure I can get in on Saturday.
You'll get
Wait, do
it.
you have a key?
She will have.
So they'll, she'll have,
Give you a key.
she'll have a key.
Okay, thank you.
Just don't want any issues with somebody being denied. entry.
Oh, definitely not.
No, sir.
The only ones I turned down under 55. It's a senior.
Good.
And we make sure we have some of those forms available for them.
You can't go, Marlene.
Senior
No,
program.
just barely,
The
ma'am.
CIFs?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I send out an email on those when I get new members. If you're 60 and over, you have to fill out a form, but if you're 55 to 60, I still have a form that they fill out so we know who's in the building.
Okay.
All right, so, then further discussion, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order to adjudicate tax sales of August 30th, 2021 and August 29th, 2022 on tax parcel number 0811E04045000 for 2021 and 2020 and 2021 tax erroneous and thus voided ab initio and for related purposes.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Discussion, all in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order rejecting bids of project number DECD 002427B for Veterans Boulevard as recommended by project engineer and authorized to re-advertising for said project. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving installation of street lights as listed.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving $2,000 to be used on the Christmas drive-through at the Isaac First Community Center December 17th, 2022 from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. payable from 002-10695. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order adjudicating and authorizing expenditures as listed as necessary to advertise and bring to favorable notice the opportunities, possibilities, and resources of Harrison County, Mississippi, including the county logo being displayed along with link displayed to Harrison County online, harrisoncounty.mississippi.com in order to provide access to the public of the resources of Harrison County payable from 002-100-522.
Mr. President, request that, vote separately on A
And F.
and what?
F.
F, okay. A and F.
Okay, A. We vote separate on A. All in favor of the motion for A, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Did we do a motion in a second? Did you do a
Need a
motion?
second?
I did
Motion
a
and second. Okay, second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. B, C, D, and E. All in favor? Can we get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion carries. And F.
F, I'd like to move to table. I'm not familiar with this group and this kind of slipped in here.
Okay.
It's not till January.
Motion to table.
So I'll move to table.
Second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Do you have G and H?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, G and H. Need a motion for G and H?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Okay. Tim, you have anything?
Yes, a couple of weeks ago, I was asked about four-wheelers have been tearing up some of the fields, either at soccer or baseball, it doesn't matter. And Carolyn asked whether or not we could get the board to authorize signs to be put up saying no vehicles and with a $500 fine. No vehicles or ATV. That would require the county to adopt an ordinance. Don't recommend you doing that because there's already laws on the books. It would require that to be malicious mischief. And so two things, I would recommend the board that you put up signs, just, I don't know why you need a sign. No vehicles and no ATVs on any of the.
They tear them up, that's why.
The signs or
No, well, no.
Oh, yeah, but you don't need a sign to tell somebody not to get on a baseball field with ATV.
I feel they don't drive four-wheelers on.
That's not for ATVs or motor vehicles. But if you want to put signs up, that's fine, it'll make it clear. But if you try to do a fine for that, then you have to adopt an ordinance.
Yeah.
You don't need an ordinance because you got a malicious mischief statute that
Yeah.
if somebody did
So
it.
it'd make them feel better if we just.
The
have
other
sign
thing that
down.
Bobby and I talked about is you can't catch them in the act. And so I recommended, I asked Bobby, so don't you have cameras that you can put up?
They steal the cameras.
I understand that.
They
We caught the
do.
guy on video stealing it because they just hadn't arrested him yet. But he's looking right in the camera when he took it down. He's smart as hell.
Right?
Then they go steal the rest of the equipment that's up there.
If the board bought some of those, they have those cell cameras that, you know, you can put up, we put one up in a place, we were having a problem, and we put it up. So we call people going in and out. It has a cell on it, so it doesn't power, it has solar power, and it has a cell phone on it. So it sends it out when somebody comes in there. I mean, the only way you're gonna stop it is to catch them. The parents are liable for malicious action of kids up to a certain amount, so they can be held responsible. But that's probably the only way you're gonna stop it is to catch them.
But Tim, you wouldn't have a problem putting up no vehicles.
No, just.
But then don't include the fine.
Yeah, if you do a fine, you're gonna have to adopt an ordinance. You don't need an ordinance, there's already a statute on the books that's malicious mischief, and they would be charged with that. I told that to Bobby, but he said, can't catch them in the act. They caught them riding them, but not in the act. So, I don't know how, he sent me pictures of it, it is bad. They're tearing up the field, doing donuts and stuff in the field, probably at night. There's gotta be somebody close by, you know, kids that live in the neighborhood or live around.
Yeah, because
where-
they're gonna ride them and then not unload them, is what I'm saying.
Well, if you get pictures of them, you can probably figure out who it is. And, you know, it wouldn't take long to stop it, I'm sure it's the same ones doing it over and over.
Yeah. We could
Probably
try.
kids.
We could try. But like I said, they have stolen all of the equipment. Not once did they steal the cameras, several times.
We've seen them steal it, but that's the only way you're gonna catch, you gonna put somebody out there to catch them in the act, or you gonna get a camera to catch them?
But their request was a sign, right?
The request for a sign, she wanted a $500 fine, I do.
Well, make a
Just
motion, give her a sign.
No $500, don't put the
You
fine
can't do that,
on.
you have to adopt an
Just
ordinance.
say they'll be prosecuted.
So the motion's only for the sign.
To allow Bobby at his
Violators will
discretion
be
to put up signs
prosecuted.
wherever he needs them to keep people off the field, no
It's
vehicles,
gotta go
no
through the sign.
ATVs. I don't really know why you need a sign,
Second.
'cause they're not gonna pay attention to it anyway.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries.
If Bobby needs it, would the board consider buying him some of those portable surveillance cameras that,
No, you don't.
no?
Thank them.
It's like the sheriff told me in reference to those signs, road signs, what signs are respected and people look at them, respect them. He said the only sign that they respect is the sign on the side of his door. all the rest of them, they don't pay any attention.
Sorry, till it comes time.
Yeah, ready to make Carolyn feel better.
Yeah, the signs don't help.
There's a lot of them.
I'll tell him he can put up signs if he wants to. That's all I have, unless y'all have any questions about anything. Oh, what we,
Personnel matter. We have a
which
person-
one?
We have a
We got a
personnel
personnel
matter
matter.
with code office.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We do have a personnel matter that probably needs to be discussed with the board, in executive
If
session.
we also, I think might be an opportunity to go a potential litigation, I don't know, to inform the board in reference to the problem with the bridge.
The bridge, that'd be fine.
What bridge?
Cuevas to the Little Bridge.
Okay.
Doug, you hang in there.
Angela, you have
That
anything?
particular issue.
Thank you.
Supervisor Land, you have anything?
No, that's,
Discuss a potential claim against Doug Bracken.
yeah.
Just kidding. It wasn't Doug.
Doug and I are gonna talk in a minute after this. I'd love to have you too. We're gonna
Okay.
talk about our four-way that we've been working on.
Okay. Everything.
Yes, please. So I texted Brett Bird to get an answer to y'all's question. I said, is there an administration fee of $25 per employee per month? And he says, yes, that's priced into the rate for the overall pricing. The admin and stop loss are fixed costs. They will be billed monthly. The claims will be billed weekly. It was included in the overall projected cost. It covers administration claims, PBM, prescriptions, etc. He said, and also Blue Cross Blue Shield, for reference to us, actually charges $45 for the same services.
How could Blue Cross Blue Shield charge us for that?
That was built into their fee. But I mean, they, by going fully insured, they can charge what they want. Of course, they want to be competitive to get the business, but that was part of their fully insured fee. The county only charges a certain amount for the employees, and then the county matches the difference. But the premiums with Blue Cross Blue Shield were in some tiers well above what the employees paid. But
I thought that the fee was
I have no
set.
idea.
it's part of that set fee. It is. It's part of that set fee. The admin charge to process the claims was part of the set fee from Blue Cross Blue
So
Shield.
that big company was charging us $45 and we're doing it self for $25.
Right. And that's all I have.
That's ridiculous.
Yes. For the record, I
Thank you.
went out and looked at the kitchen, at the senior resources, and it is not a gourmet kitchen by any stretch of the imagination. It's more like a closet or a snack room. And it has formica, not marble. It has, it's tiny, tiny little thing. And the ice maker is very small and in a hallway. And I just wanted to correct that for the record, that the money that was spent was well spent, in my opinion. It was, I think the kitchen cabinets came from Hood's. And also for a refrigerator and a microwave, what's wrong with my voice? Microwave in someone's office is different than a microwave for public use. If a director or somebody needs a refrigerator or I don't think do any directors have that in their office anywhere? Okay. So I just wanted to correct that for the record, because it seemed like a big gourmet kitchen and all this extravagance, and it wasn't. It's a small snack room with very limited cabinets, and very limited countertops. Excuse me. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record and cleared. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Pam, you have anything?
No.
Sheriff?
No, sir.
Okay. You get a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Second?
Second, no, yeah, second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Motion carries. Tim, give us a report.
During the course of the executive session, the board discussed the matter of personnel involved in the code office and the potential litigation following the Cuevas to Little Bridge. No action was taken.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Get back to my nursing.
All opposed? Motion carries.